Chapter 95. Chen Wuxian was resting in the side hall. When he heard the loud roar outside, he was shocked. He immediately recognized the voice of the Golden Fur Lion King. He felt depressed in his heart. When did he offend this old madman? However, no matter how confused he was, Chen Wuxian rushed to the entrance of the mansion immediately. He cupped his fists and said, "It's Boss Jean. What can I do for you?" "Old Jean what? I know you're calling me by my nickname, Golden-Haired Lion King." Old Master Jean snorted coldly. "But it doesn't matter. I'm very proud of this nickname. You old bastard, does your Chen family think that my Jean family is easy to bully? Bully my precious granddaughter? When did we bully your granddaughter?" Chen Wuxian's face was gloomy. What was going on? However, he couldn't lower himself to the same level as this old lunatic. He could only patiently explain, "Golden Fur Lion King, are you mistaken? You must be mistaken." Old Master Jean said angrily, "Look, I knew you would call me Golden-Haired Lion King. That was a slip of the tongue, right?" Chen Wuxian was speechless. "Didn't you ask me to call you Golden-Haired Lion King? You even said you liked the name, and now I'm calling it a slip of the tongue." However, he could not defend himself. He could only say, "Mr. Jean, let's not talk about this. Why are you here?" Old Master Jean again. "Didn't I tell you to call me Golden-Haired Lion King? Have you gone senile?" Old Man Jean glared at him and reprimanded. "Golden Fur Lion King, why are you here?" Chen Wuxian asked again patiently. "My granddaughter's car was stolen by your little bastard. She came here to look for a car, but your dog didn't let her in. It even smashed her butt." Old Man Jean said coldly. "My little bastard is." War God Chen was a little depressed. Who was he talking about? Which servant was blind enough to bully the young lady of the Jean family? That was so f***ed up. But at least he found a punching bag. "Chen Sigong, don't you know that this is Miss Jean Bebe of the Jean family? Are you blind or something? Go and reflect for a year in the reflection room." "Yes." The black-robed guard's face immediately turned bitter. He had only done what a guard was supposed to do, but he ended up being the scapegoat. He was really F***king unlucky. "Wait." Old Master Jean stopped the black-clothed guard named Chen Sigong and said to Chen Wuxian, "Chen Wuxian, are you looking for a scapegoat? How would I know that he's going to reflect on himself? Even if you let him out tomorrow, I won't be able to investigate." Then, "Golden Fur Lion King, what do you think we should do?" Chen Wuxian asked patiently. "Let's be more practical. Just now, he threw my granddaughter's butt. According to the rules of the secular world, you should buy some supplements for him, right? 10 bottles. Chen Wuxian was heartbroken. The body refining liquid was a cultivation resource sold by the Warriors Guild. According to the rules of the secular world, you have to buy some supplements for him. 10 bottles. Chen Wuxian felt his heart ache when he heard this. The body-tempering potion was a cultivation resource sold by the Warriors Guild. Furthermore, it wasn't something that could be bought with money. One had to find connections and bid for it. The value of 10 bottles was around 5 million, and this wasn't even guaranteed to be bought. This made his heart ache, but the situation was pressing. He could only agree, "All right, 10 bottles it is. I'll have someone send them to the Jean residence another day." "Okay, then I will forget about it." The Golden Fur Lion King nodded his head in satisfaction. The body-tempering potion was a potion that could be used by warriors under Stage 3 inner force. 10 bottles was not a small amount. "If that's the case, Lion King, please go back." "I will go back to cultivate," Chen Wuxian said. "Chen Wuxian, are you stupid? Did I say you can go back? Do you think it's okay?" Golden-Haired Lion King stared at him and said angrily. "Didn't Golden Fur Lion King say it yourself just now? Are we just going to let this matter go? Chen Wuxian had a helpless look on his face. How could this person go back on his words? What I'm saying is that we can forget about this Chen Sigong smashing my granddaughters, but my granddaughter's car hasn't been found yet. The golden-haired Lion King said, "Find your little bastard." What car? Chen Wuxian suddenly remembered about the car. Which one of my sons stole your car? What's his name? Golden-haired Lion King turned to look at Jin Beibei and asked. Chen Jinpeng. Jin Beibei said. Chen Jinpeng? Chen Wuxian was stunned. He did not believe it. How could my son steal Miss Jin Beibei's car? He has the money to buy a car and he just bought a Porsche 2 days ago. Why would he steal Miss Jin Beibei's car? It's that Porsche. It's mine. Jin Beibei lied without blinking. It's yours? Chen Wuxian was even more puzzled. However, he nodded and said, "Wait for me. I'll ask Jinpeng to come out and verify it with you." Okay. Hurry up. Golden-haired Lion King nodded. Chen Wuxian turned around and returned to the Chen family's house. He took out his phone and called Chen Jinpeng directly. He said hurriedly, "Jinpeng, where are you? Hurry up and go home." Huh? I'm at school. What happened at home? Chen Jinpeng was stunned. There's an exam in the afternoon. Forget about the exam. Golden-haired Lion King is here. He said that you stole his granddaughter's car. Is that true? Chen Wuxian asked. Stole a car? How is that possible? Is she talking about the Porsche Panamera? That's my car. However, it was stolen by Jin Beibei. I asked people to help me look for it. In the end, I found that the car was parked in the second middle school. So, I asked a disciple of my family to drive it home. Chen Jinpeng said, that car was originally mine. I still have the driving license. What exactly happened? Tell me in detail. Chen Wuxian listened for a while and realized that things didn't seem to be what he had imagined. So, he asked hurriedly. Here's what happened. Chen Jinpeng told the story from the time he lost the car in the cafe to the time he sent someone to find the car. Then, he saw the car parked in the second middle school with the words, Tycoon Jin Beibei's car. He concluded that the car was stolen by Jin Beibei. So, he asked a disciple of the Chen family to drive it back with the spare key. So, the car is yours and it can pass the test, right? Chen Wuxian nodded and asked. Yes, it was originally my car. The license plate number is under the Chen family's company. Chen Jinpeng said firmly. That's good. Come back now. Let's confront them. Chen Wuxian snorted coldly. We were in the wrong before. But now, I will make you spit out the level 1 body polishing liquid. In Chen Wuxian's opinion, it was the Chen family's fault that Chen Sigong had beaten Jin Beibei. However, the car wasn't his. Since he had caused trouble in the Chen family, he deserved to be beaten. Why should he compensate him? Therefore, he had to make use of this point to settle this matter. Therefore, Chen Wuxian didn't say anything. He just returned to the entrance of the Chen family's mansion with a straight face. Where's your son of AB*TCH? Golden-haired Lion King didn't see Chen Jinpeng. He only saw Chen Wuxian coming back, so he asked impatiently. He's at school. He'll be back soon. Wait for him. Chen Wuxian knew the truth, so he wasn't afraid of Golden-haired Lion King anymore. His voice was a little cold. Humph. Golden-haired Lion King snorted coldly. Then, he waited for Chen Jinpeng. Not long after, Chen Jinpeng returned. He drove a sports car that he used to drive. It could only be considered quite ordinary, and the model was also old. It was given to him by Chen Jinkuan back then, but even so, he felt that it was still much better than Xiao Chen. Grandpa. Chen Jinpeng got out of the car and greeted Chen Wuxian. Yes, Jinpeng is back. Chen Wuxian nodded and said, your grandpa golden-haired Lion King and sister Jean Bebe are here. Miss Jean Bebe said that you stole her car. What do you think is going on? Grandpa, you know that I have money. How can I steal someone else's car? Chen Jinpeng said in a humble manner, isn't there a mistake in this matter? A mistake? Then, do you dare to let me in to look for my car? Jean Bebe put her hands on her waist and said angrily, you definitely don't dare to let me in, do you? I know that you hid my car at home. How is that possible? Chen Jinpeng was about to say that he wouldn't let her in. After all, this was the Chen family's compound. If Jean Bebe went in as she pleased, wouldn't the Chen family lose face? However, Jean Bebe's words made it impossible for Chen Jinpeng to refuse. If he didn't stop her, wouldn't it mean that he didn't dare to let her in? It would be even more shameful if it was spread out. Besides, the car had all the necessary procedures. Chen Jinpeng wasn't afraid of Jean Bebe at all. Therefore, he glanced at his grandpa. Seeing that he didn't stop him, he said, since Sister Jean Bebe wants to take a look, just go ahead. If I don't let you in, I will seem petty. Come on, Bebe, let's go in. Golden-haired Lion King roared. Wait. But Warlord Chen said, Golden-haired Lion King, let's get this straight. It's the Chen family's fault if we find the car. I can let go of the trouble you caused in front of the Chen family. However, if you can't find the car, shouldn't you give me an explanation for making such a scene in front of the Chen family? Humph. We will certainly give you an explanation if we can't find the car. Golden-haired Lion King snorted and led Jean Bebe into the Chen family's compound, while Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing followed them. Chen Jinpeng didn't stop them. It was a good thing that Cheng Menjing and the others could serve as witnesses, in case Jean Bebe acted shamelessly when she lost. They entered the Chen family's compound and saw the extravagant gold Panamera in the parking lot not far away. Jean Bebe pointed at the car and said, Grandpa, that's my car. Warlord Chen, what do you have to say for yourself? Isn't my granddaughter's car right here? Golden-haired Lion King glared at Warlord Chen and said angrily. Chapter 96. Chen Wuxian was so angry that his beard was twisted. Do you really think that your granddaughter's car belongs to your granddaughter just because you say so? However, he also knew that it was meaningless to argue. He simply said casually, Jinpeng, whose car does it belong to? Mine, of course. I still have the car key. Chen Jinpeng answered. Jean Bebe extended her hand and said, no wonder I lost a key. Give it back to me now. What the F***ck? Chen Jinpeng was truly speechless. Was Jean Bebe lying through her teeth? You lost a key? Holding back his anger, he said, Jean Bebe, let's not talk about the key first. This car is mine. You changed my key in the cafe the other day. Don't think that I don't know. When they approached, Jean Bebe pointed at the words on the car and said confidently, Grandpa Chen, look. What a big word on the car. It says Tycoon Jean Bebe's car. Chen Wuxian, what else do you want to say? It seems that your grandson is a liar. Gold Fur Lion King looked at Chen Wuxian mockingly. Chen Wuxian frowned and looked at Chen Jinpeng. What's with the words on the car? Jean Bebe, let's not beat around the bush. You stole this car from me. Why don't you paste the words on the car and say that it's yours? I can tell you that I have the license with the car number and the engine number on it. Why don't we check it? Chen Jinpeng had his trump card. He was not afraid of Jean Bebe. It would not be a big deal even if she pasted the words on the car. Nonsense. If I pasted the words on the car, why didn't you tear them off? Jean Bebe asked back. I didn't have time to tear them off, and you came to find me, didn't you? Chen Jinpeng was somewhat speechless. Jean Bebe nodded and said, am I right? Look, you finally admitted that you stole it. When did I admit it? Chen Jinpeng's face changed. Don't talk nonsense. You said that I came to you, but you didn't have time to tear it up. Doesn't it mean that the car is mine and you stole it? You didn't have time to erase the evidence? Jin Beibei, however, pointed at a deer as a horse and argued. Jinpeng, take out the car's license. Chen Wuxian didn't want to see them quarrel meaninglessly, so he said to Chen Jinpeng directly. It's here. What else do you have to say? Chen Jinpeng took out his driving permit. This was his trump card. Golden Fur Lion King, take a look yourself. Chen Wuxian took the driving permit, glanced at it, and handed it over to Golden Fur Lion King. Golden Fur Lion King waved his hand and said, I can't see such small words. I only saw that it says it's my granddaughter's car. That's my granddaughter's car. G.A. Chen Jinpeng was stunned. He didn't expect both the young and the old to be unreasonable. After he showed his trump card, he was waiting for Golden Fur Lion King and Jin Beibei to be speechless and be defeated. He didn't expect it to be like this. You. Chen Wuxian was also furious. He took a few deep breaths, pointed at Golden Fur Lion King, and shouted angrily, Golden Fur Lion King, I can tell that you are being unreasonable, aren't you? If you want to be unreasonable, then so be it. Golden Fur Lion King didn't feel ashamed. Instead, he felt proud and said proudly, unreasonable. I will make you and the monkey die of anger. Good, good, very good. Chen Wuxian almost lost his temper on the spot. He was so angry that he was shivering. Golden Fur Lion King, let me tell you. Others might be afraid of you, but I'm not. Our strength is about the same. If we really fight, it's hard to tell who will be the winner. You are not afraid of me, but your grandson is. If he has the guts, don't drive this car out. If I see him, I will chop this car thief to death. Golden Fur Lion King said indifferently. You. Chen Wuxian suddenly remembered that Golden Fur Lion King had once killed a playboy who had flirted with Jin Beibei. He shuddered all of a sudden. If Chen Jinkuan was dead, Chen Jinpeng would be his only grandson. If this crazy old man really killed Chen Jinpeng because of this, it would be too late for him to cry. Although he could also kill Jin Beibei, the Chen family would have no successor. Thinking of this, Chen Wuxian suddenly became listless. Golden Fur Lion King, you are ruthless. I admit defeat. Little son didn't steal the car. He was just joking with Beibei. You can drive the car away. That's more like it. I heard that your grandson stole my granddaughter's car key and drove the car through her house. This. Golden Fur Lion King looked at Chen Wuxian with a smile. Jinpeng, return the key to Jin Beibei and transfer the ownership of the car back to her. Chen Wuxian said with grievance. Okay, it's best to correct one's mistakes. Beibei, let's go. Golden Fur Lion King nodded in satisfaction. The four of them got into the car. Panamera drove out of the courtyard of the Chen family. The Wrangler was driven by a disciple of the Jin family, who followed them from a distance. After they left, Chen Jinpeng said with grievance, Grandpa, are we just going to let this go? You little brat, why did you provoke Jin Beibei for no reason? Don't you know that her grandpa is Golden Fur Lion King? Don't you know that he is a crazy old man? Chen Wuxian had nowhere to vent his anger, which was ignited by Chen Jinpeng. We are in the right. They are being unreasonable. Chen Jinpeng said innocently. Who asked you to take the words out of the car? Who can you blame? I am so angry. Chen Wuxian snorted and said, remember, don't fight a battle that you are not confident of winning. That old man is unreasonable. Learn from your mistakes. Stay away from him in the future. Got it. Chen Jinpeng nodded his head in frustration. All right, How's the thing between you and Shen Jingxian? Chen Wuxian turned around and asked Chen Jinpeng. It's still the same. I wanted to take her for a ride, but I lost the car, so I didn't go. Chen Jinpeng answered carefully. Then, you won't buy another car? Take care of her as soon as possible. With the support of the Shen family, we won't be afraid of the Jin family anymore. Chen Wuxian snorted and left quickly. Chen Jinpeng was left feeling very depressed. He had thought that he would be able to do whatever he wanted after he became the young master of the Chen family. However, he didn't expect that Jin Beibei would take him away when he just bought a car. He sighed and left the Chen family. He was going to take the exam and buy a car after school. Jin Beibei drove the car out of the Chen family. Old Master Jin sat in the front passenger seat, while Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing sat in the back seat. She didn't feel anything when she left in a hurry. However, after a while, Cheng Menjing suddenly realized that she was sitting next to Xiao Chen. Her heart skipped a beat. However, she still turned her head and rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen. Hey, stay away from me. It's so hot. I'll turn on the air conditioner, Jin Beibei said. You are courting death. Cheng Menjing just said it casually. It was almost autumn now. How could it be so hot? Then why did you ask my cousin-in-law to stay away from you? Do you hate my cousin-in-law? Jin Beibei asked with a smile. Cheng Menjing wanted to say that she hated him, but she was afraid that she would hurt Xiao Chen's pride. She also wanted to say that she did not hate him, but she was afraid that Xiao Chen would fantasize about him. Therefore, she couldn't say anything else after she said that. Boy, your name is Xiao Chen, right? The Gold Fur Lion King turned around and looked at Xiao Chen with a vague smile. Is the woman next to you your fiancée? Old Master Jin, please don't make fun of me. I am Cheng Menjing's male servant right now. Xiao Chen immediately blushed. Beibei is just messing around. She calls me cousin-in-law, but she is actually just joking. No, I have high hopes for you, cousin-in-law. Jin Beibei, on the other hand, was dancing with joy. When she talked about Xiao Chen, her eyes were sparkling. Grandpa, you have no idea. My cousin-in-law is awesome. He is a transformer. It was him who found my car. Transformer? The Gold Fur Lion King was dazed. You can transform? Then, are you an Autobot or a Decepticon? Pooh. Xiao Chen did not expect Jin Beibei to be so funny. Old Master Jin was equally funny. That's just a nickname that Beibei came up with. If I could transform, would I be kicked out of the Xiao family? Oh, I thought that you could sense Beibei's car because you are an Autobot. The Gold Fur Lion King said. My senses are just stronger than normal people's. You know that I'm useless, so I focus my energy on other aspects. Xiao Chen knew that he could not talk nonsense about it. Therefore, he could only explain it in such a way. Old Master Jin was too shrewd to be fooled so easily. As he expected, the Gold Fur Lion King narrowed his eyes and eyed Xiao Chen up and down. There was no telling what he was thinking. But after a while, he did not talk to Xiao Chen anymore. Instead, he turned around and looked at Jin Beibei. Beibei, you think very highly of this boy, don't you? Cousin-in-law is really awesome. Jin Beibei nodded. Hee. Beibei, have you had lunch yet? Let's find a place. Grandpa will treat you to lunch. Old Master Jin, however, did not continue the topic. Instead, he changed the topic to lunch, which made Xiao Chen feel greatly relieved. He had been worried that the Gold Fur Lion King would not let go of the car. It would not be easy for him to give an excuse then. After all, the mental power and the spiritual power were very mysterious. Some were strong, and some were weak. It would not be easy for anyone to suspect anything. However, Xiaofan was worried that he might make mistakes if he said too much. No. We were just about to go for lunch when we found that the car was lost, Jean Bebe said. I want to eat barbecued meat. Okay. Barbecued meat, then. The Gold Fur Lion King obviously spoiled Jean Bebe very much. Whatever Jean Bebe wanted to eat, he agreed without thinking. Jean Bebe suddenly said, but Cousin Menjing is afraid of the heat. How about I send you back to school first, Cousin Menjing? Humph. I'm cold again. Cheng Menjing was very angry. Damn you, Bebe. Are you doing this on purpose? Huh. Jean Bebe laughed. Right. Bebe, why did you steal Chen Jinpeng's car for no reason? It was not until then that the Gold Fur Lion King realized the main purpose of his visit. Earlier, he pretended to be ignorant and unreasonable, but in fact, he knew it very well. Chapter 97. Isn't it for my cousin-in-law? Chen Jinpeng used to be my cousin-in-law's follower. Later, he acted tough in front of my cousin-in-law and even bought the car that I wanted. So, I set him up, Jean Bebe said matter-of-factly. Oh. Golden Fur Lion King heard that it was for Xiaofan. He squinted his eyes again. No one knew what he was thinking. Xiaofan, on the other hand, was very touched. It turned out that Jean Bebe had made 13 moves and even called Old Man Jean over to help him vent his anger. The car stopped in front of a famous barbecue restaurant in the city. The four of them got off the car, ordered some barbecue and entered the private room. Because it was a barbecue buffet, the barbecued food was readily available. Soon, it was served, and Jean Bebe immediately ate happily. However, Old Master Jean rarely ate. He only ate simple vegetables. Grandpa Jean, why aren't you eating? Lin Yi looked at old Jean in surprise. In his opinion, it was impossible that old Jean was reluctant to eat. With his status, it would be strange if he couldn't afford such a small amount of barbecue. I've been taking medicine and avoiding beef and mutton. I even try to eat less meat like meat, Golden Fur Lion King explained with a smile. He suffered a serious internal injury on his lumbar spine when he was young, which damaged his bones and meridians. He has to use medicine to maintain his condition and overcome the pain. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice suddenly appeared in Xiaofan's ears. Oh? Is that so? Xiaofan was surprised. Then, he remembered that there were indeed some warriors whose bones and meridians were damaged after they were injured. Not only did they suffer from sequelae, but their strength also stagnated. Can't it be cured? It's usually hard for warriors to cure themselves, but for a cultivator, it's nothing even if 5 words come from the sky. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Pfft. You're still joking at a time like this? Does it mean that I can help him? Xiaofan never thought that he would be so strong. Of course. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said arrogantly, you must remember that you are a brilliant cultivator, the successor of I, the Elder Heaven Ancestor. What should we do then? Xiaofan couldn't help but ask. It's actually very simple, the Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Just the dregs of the medicinal soup that you took in the beginning. Boil it for him, and he'll be fine. So simple? The dregs, are they still effective? Xiaofan didn't expect it to be like this. He was a little skeptical. That's a medicine that cultivators use to wash their marrows and reshape their bones. Even if it's just the dregs of the medicine, it'll be infinitely beneficial to martial artists. It can reshape their bones and meridians and force out the toxins in their bodies. The Elder Heaven Ancestor had a look of exasperation on his face as he said, can't you imagine yourself to be so awesome that even the water you wash your feet with is good? Xiaofan found it hard to accept the idea for the time being. He had always felt that he was on the losing end. It never occurred to him that he was already on the winning end without him knowing it. Then, should I help you, or not? It's up to you, the elder heaven ancestor said unconcernedly. After all, you bought the medicine with your own money. There's no need to ask me. The question made Xiao Chen more or less hesitant. He had thought that the elder heaven ancestor would give him a suggestion, but the elder heaven ancestor simply ignored it. By logic, old Master Jin was Jin Beibei's grandfather, and he had shown enough kindness to him. It was only reasonable that Xiao Chen offered him a hand. After all, he had been getting along well with Jin Beibei over the past few days. His sister-in-law also defended him and even stood up for him to teach Chen Jinpeng a lesson. No wonder Xiao Chen felt that Jin Beibei was making a mountain out of a molehill by calling old Master Jin over for a car. Now that the guy had supported him so much, it would not make sense if he did not return the favor. It would have been fine if he did not have the capability, but if he did not help when he had the capability, even Xiao Chen felt that he would not be able to forgive himself. It was easy to add flowers to a brocade, but difficult to provide coal in a snowy day. After Xiao Chen fell from grace, Xiao Chen had always remembered those who had been kind to him. Cheng Menjiang, Ke Lin, Shen Jingxian, Tang Tang, Xing Xiaokuan, and Jin Beibei. As long as there was a chance, Xiao Chen would repay them. Right now, Jin Beibei and the eldest lady were the only two people in the private room. In fact, Xiao Chen had already exposed some of his capabilities in front of them several times. Therefore, there was nothing for him to hide anymore. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, had come up with an excuse. He looked at old Master Jin and asked, "Grandpa Jin, was your lumbar spine injured in the past, which damaged the bones and nerves nearby, and you have to maintain them with drugs?" "Oh." The gold fur lion king's eyes suddenly shone. He looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief and asked, "Boy, who told you that?" It happened when the gold fur lion king was still in the sect. Theoretically speaking, nobody in the secular world knew about it at all. Even his family members and Jin Beibei, who he loved the most, did not know about it. When he took the medicine, he only claimed that it was for martial arts training. He had never mentioned that he was injured. It must be noted that the part where he was injured was like the weak point of his martial arts. If the enemy learned about it and attacked it, he would probably be defeated. Therefore, when the secret was told by Xiao Chen, the first thought that flashed through the gold fur lion king's mind was to kill him to keep his mouth shut, because it was too important for him and the Jin family. Xiao Chen was startled by the gold fur lion king's reaction, too. Jin Beibei knew the gold fur lion king better than anyone else. Others might not have noticed the killing intent at that moment, but Jin Beibei did. She said subconsciously, "Ah, Grandpa, it was me who told my cousin-in-law." The gold fur lion king was slightly dazed. He turned around and looked at Jin Beibei. The killing intent and solemnity on his body disappeared in a moment, and he became the amiable old kid again. "Beibei, how did you know?" Jin Beibei rolled her eyes and said immediately, Well, I heard Grandpa talking in his sleep." The golden-haired lion king was a little speechless. The way he looked at Jin Beibei was even weirder. After a long time, he sighed and said, "I never talk in my sleep. When high-level warriors rest, they are also in a half-awake state. In this way, they will be able to react immediately when they are ambushed." "Well, I mean, I dreamed about it," Jin Beibei added. How sensitive was Xiao Chen's mind and soul? Just now, Jin Beibei had sensed the killing intent of the gold fur lion king, and so had Xiao Chen. Seeing that Jin Beibei was protecting him as usual, Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Master Jin, as I said just now, my mind and soul are very powerful. I sensed your wounds." "What?" The gold fur lion king looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. "You sensed it?" "Yes." Xiao Chen nodded and told the excuse that he had prepared. "I'm a good-for-nothing in martial arts. Master Jin, you also know that. Therefore, over the years, I've been studying the medical arts non-stop, hoping to solve the problem of my body. Over the years, I've studied a lot of medical classics and have made some achievements in the medical arts. Not only can I prepare medicine with my mind and soul, I can also treat the wounds of other fighters with my mind and soul. Xiao Chen's words made Cheng Menjing's eyes bulge. She did not know that Xiao Chen had such talents. Over the years, he had not been a playboy. Instead, he had been studying medicine all along. But thinking about it, the strong smell of medicine in the villa these days was really possible. In that case, wasn't the Xiao Chen he had seen before Xiao Chen? Jean Bebe raised her hand and said, I can testify to that. My cousin-in-law is brewing medicine in my cousin's villa every day. The Golden Fur Lion King had just thought of countless possibilities, but the possibility of Xiao Chen knowing about his injuries in advance was almost zero. It was impossible for the people from his sect to tell Xiao Chen that a playboy who was chased out of the Xiao family was also meaningless. Could it be that Xiao Chen was really capable in this aspect? Thinking of this, Golden Fur Lion King could not help but ask, then is there any hope for my old injury to be cured? Yes. However, Xiao Chen nodded. I just happened to concoct a potion. Old Master Jean, after you decoct it and take it, your injuries will be healed. Really? This time, it was the Golden Fur Lion King who did not believe it. If Xiao Chen said there was no hope, although he would be disappointed, he would also feel that it was reasonable. However, if Xiao Chen said it could be cured, he really did not know what to do. Even the people in his sect could do nothing about his injuries. He had no choice but to go down the mountain. How could there be hope for Xiao Chen? If I lie to you, Cheng Menjing will kick me out of the house and not let me be a manservant. What good will that do to me? Xiao Chen could not help but say with a wry smile. Indeed, what he had done was a little too shocking. However, Xiao Chen was such a person. If others were sincere to him, he would treat them with sincerity. He was also a decisive person. Since he had made up his mind, he would not hesitate anymore. Golden Fur Lion King suddenly said, if you are kicked out of the house, you can come to our Jean family. Ah? Xiao Chen was a little stunned. Go to the Jean family? Bebe, I think you like your cousin-in-law very much. Now that the Cheng family has broken off the engagement, why don't we let him come to the Jean family and become a son-in-law? Golden Fur Lion King's words shocked everyone to death. The words he said shocked the three people present. However, Jean Bebe was quite excited. Okay. No, Cousin Menjing has to let him go first. I can't steal Cousin Menjing's man. If you like him, you can have him. Cheng Menjing snorted. However, she felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Reluctant to let him go? How could that be possible? It must be because Xiao Chen had changed his mind again. This bastard, why does he like the people around me? Can't you like me for a while? Will you die? Look, Menjing has agreed. What about my suggestion? The Golden Fur Lion King looked at Xiao Chen with a smile and said, since you don't have a clan now, come to our Jean clan. That way, you will have a backer. Old man Cheng won't dare to do anything to you. The Golden Fur Lion King looked like an old urchin. It seemed that he spoke without thinking. In fact, that was not the case. He had been observing Xiao Chen along the way. The Golden Fur Lion King laughed, but he was a little disappointed in his heart. However, he also knew that this matter could not be forced. Also, since Jean Bebe had spoken, it was inappropriate for him to say anything more. He merely said, but rest assured. You are the man that I, the Golden Fur Lion King, like. I will be your shield. If anyone bullies you, I will stand up for you. Hee. That is because Xiao Chen is my cousin-in-law. That's why I'm good to him. Grandpa, don't play the matchmaker. Otherwise, Cousin Menjing will be unhappy. Jean Bebe blinked at Cheng Menjing. Thank you, Grandpa Jean. Xiaochen felt that the Golden Fur Lion King was a little too enthusiastic. I don't care about that. Cheng Menjing, however, looked a little weird. Although the Golden Fur Lion King said that he was joking, she still felt that the Golden Fur Lion King was serious. Did he really want Xiaochen to be his grandson-in-law? This guy has become a hot commodity? How is it possible? It must be an illusion. Huh. Let's eat, let's eat. Seeing that his granddaughter did not seem to be interested in that aspect, the Golden Fur Lion King stopped talking and simply greeted her. Xiaochen ate in silence, but he had a lot of questions in his head. Elder Heaven Ancestor, isn't this Grandpa Jean a little too enthusiastic to me? After you cure his disease, he will think that you are a talent. It is perfectly normal that he wants you to be his grandson-in-law. Elder Heaven Ancestor, however, did not think it was a big deal. Your master, was so awesome and elegant in the old days. Those big families all scrambled to send their daughters and granddaughters to be my concubines. Those big sects treated me like I was their ancestor. Master, can you stop bragging? Xiaochen was a little speechless. If you are so awesome, you'd better be killed by others. Ahem, ahem. It was an accident. Elder Heaven Ancestor was a little embarrassed. I think you were too pretentious and hated by others. You were killed. Xiaochen snorted. If you don't have the strength, you are really stupid. F*ck little brat, are you rebelling? Elder Heaven Ancestor was even more embarrassed. If you have the ability, don't ask me anything in the future. Ugh. I was just casually saying. Xiaochen quickly shut up. However, Xiaochen did not quite believe that it was because he could cure the Golden Fur Lion King's injury that he wanted him to be his grandson-in-law. After all, he had not treated the injury yet. Who knew if it was really effective? It seemed that Grandpa Jean was rough on the outside but meticulous on the inside. He did not seem like a really reckless person. There must be other reasons, but as for what the reason was, Xiaochen could not think of it for a while. But in any case, Xiaochen finally had a temporary backer. Although this backer was not very reliable, if the news was spread out, at least no one would target him in the open. As for the secret, not to mention that Xiaochen was not Xiaochen anymore, even if he was still Xiaochen, it was easier to dodge a spear in the open than to dodge a stab in the dark. He did not even know who was behind him. Even if Grandpa Jean stood up for him, it would be useless. After lunch, it was almost time for the afternoon exam. The Golden Fur Lion King left in the Wrangler that he had come with, and Jean Bebe drove the Golden Panamera to school. Well done, Xiaochen. I didn't know that you were so good at pleasing the elders. Grandpa Jean is going to accept you as his grandson-in-law. The more Cheng Menjing thought about it, the angrier she became. Since Xiaochen was so capable, why didn't he please her grandpa? In that case, he would not have to be a servant, and the engagement between the two families would not have to be cancelled. Huh? What am I thinking? It would be great if the engagement was cancelled. Who would want to marry such a bad guy? Well, Grandpa Jean was just kidding. Can't you tell? Xiaochen immediately smiled bitterly. Besides, even if it is true, what's so good about marrying someone else's grandson-in-law? I didn't know that you were quite ambitious. Cheng Menjing was dazed for a moment. She felt that Xiaochen was more and more mysterious to her. Was he really her ex-fiancé? Was he possessed by an alien? She had to admit that Cheng Menjing had a vivid imagination. What she did not know was that Xiaochen was not possessed by an alien but the soul of a cultivator. Xiaochen did not know what to say. He could only smile bitterly. Hey, is it true that you can treat Grandpa Jean? Cheng Menjing really couldn't accept it. Could Xiaochen really become a medical master? It's true. Xiaochen nodded and said, my body is actually a congenital broken meridian. In other words, all the meridians are blocked. I want to open these meridians and practice martial arts, so I have to find a way to try various medicinal materials. So in the process of trying, I found some ways to treat other injuries. It turns out to be like this. So, you used to work hard? Cheng Menjing listened to Xiao Chen's words, and now she believed 70 to 80%. Yeah, at that time, I thought that if I was really a good-for-nothing and married you in the future, although you didn't say it on the surface, you would definitely think that I was a good-for-nothing in your heart. If you cheated on me, wouldn't I be miserable? Xiao Chen smiled. Ah. Cheng Menjing didn't expect Xiao Chen to say this. She suddenly blushed. How could I cheat on you? Don't talk nonsense. Besides, I don't believe your nonsense. He. Xiao Chen dispelled Cheng Menjing's curiosity. After all, these were all made up by him. If she looked into it, it couldn't be compared to the truth. When they returned to school, it was almost time for the exam. Xiao Chen and others entered the classroom and sat in their seats. Lu Zhenming saw Xiao Chen coming back. He was afraid that he would forget the appointment at night, so he walked over quickly and patted Xiao Chen's shoulder. He said, Xiao Chen, don't forget at night. I won't forget. You tell me the address, and I will go there by myself. Xiao Chen nodded and said. How about I take you there after school? Lu Zhenming was afraid that Xiao Chen would slip away, so he didn't want Xiao Chen to go by himself. He didn't believe it. I still have something else to do after school. If you don't tell me, then we will talk about it another day. Xiao Chen waved his hand indifferently. No need to wait for another day. I will tell you the address. I will wait for you there. Call me when you come. Be there or be square. Lu Zhenming quickly sent the address to Xiao Chen with his mobile phone. Okay, I got it. Xiao Chen said impatiently. Lu Zhenming didn't dare to say anything more. He could only go back to his seat, but he cursed in his heart, you are pretending now. Wait and see. I will see how you die tonight. Soon, the exam was over. Maybe it was because Lu Zhenming thought that Xiao Chen would die tonight, so he didn't make any trouble during the exam. After the papers were handed in, Xiao Chen packed his things slowly. Lu Zhenming wanted to ask Xiao Chen to go with him, but he hesitated and said, Xiao Chen, I will go first. Call me later. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded lightly. Lu Zhenming left with the thin monkey-like man. Tang Tang looked at their backs and frowned. Xiao Chen, are you really going to join some underground black boxing? Yes, I will go and have a look. Xiao Chen didn't deny his idea. Isn't it a little dangerous? Although your skills are good, you are not a warrior after all. What if something happens to you? Tang Tang was a little worried and said, I don't think Lu Zhenming has good intentions at all. Don't be fooled. Don't worry, Tang Tang. I am not stupid. I will just go and have a look. If it doesn't work, I will come back. Xiao Chen smiled. Chapter 99. Are you so short of money? Tang Tang thought that Xiao Chen was short of money. If you don't have money, we can earn it. Selling breakfast is so profitable. If we sell for a year and a half, we will have some savings. Tang Tang, I just want to go and see. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Well, don't worry. You can rest assured that I won't die for a little money. Then, well, you be careful. Tang Tang saw that Xiao Chen had made up his mind. She couldn't persuade him, so she nodded and agreed. If there is any trouble, call you Xiao Chuan. Pfft. Xiao Chen almost burst out laughing after hearing Tang Tang's words. So, this brat is my protective talisman now. Huh, who asked him to use you? If you don't use him now, when he really dumps me, it won't work. Tang Tang laughed. Xiao Chen said goodbye to Tang Tang and sent a text message to the Mississippi. He told her that he was going to buy medicine for Grandpa Jean and went out of the school. After walking for a while, he found a place with no one, put on the chef's suit, and then put on the white fox mask. He walked to the address provided by Lu Zhenming. That place was not close to the school. It was close to the suburbs. Xiaochen did not take a car, but walked all the way. Although he looked a bit strange, in this fast-paced city, the people who saw it at most thought it was very funny. No one stopped him and asked him this and that. Everyone was used to it. When Xiaochen walked to the underground black boxing ring in the suburbs, it had been more than 2 hours. This was the result of Xiaochen's trot all the way. Here was an abandoned factory. However, in the abandoned factory, faint lights could be seen. Obviously, this was the underground black boxing ring that Lu Zhenming mentioned. The dilapidated environment outside was just a cover. After all, this was an illegal business. It was impossible to build it like a stadium. Wouldn't that be looking for trouble? Xiaochen did not rush to call Lu Zhenming. Xiaochen did not believe what Lu Zhenming said. He came here to investigate himself first, and the white fox was his current identity. Finding a place to hide his school bag, Xiaochen circled around the abandoned factory twice. Before he found the entrance, he was stopped by a black-shirt man. Of course, with Xiaochen's divine sense and spiritual force, he could know that they were coming. The reason why he did not escape was that he wanted these two people to take him in. It was much easier than finding it himself. What are you doing? Why are you acting so sneakily? This is a restricted area of the factory's warehouse. Unrelated people should quickly leave. This isn't a place for a child like you to play house. That black-clothed man saw that Xiaochen was wearing a mask and thought that it was a child's mask. A friend introduced me to boxing here. Xiaochen's voice at the moment became a bit hoarse. This was intentional. Although these two people did not know him, it would not be good if Lu Zhenming found out. Oh. The black-shirt man was slightly surprised, but he was quite cautious. He did not admit it immediately, but deliberately said, "What boxing? This is not a place for children to play." A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. "I am here to play underground black boxing." Xiaochen said faintly, "If it has nothing to do with you, get lost." Hey, this kid is quite arrogant. The black-shirt man suddenly clawed at Xiaochen. This claw had at least the power of a martial artist's inner energy level 1. However, what was Xiaochen's current level? It was equivalent to a martial artist's inner energy level 3. This claw was easily dodged by Xiaochen. It did not hurt Xiaochen at all. "Not bad, you have some skills. Come with me." The black-shirt man was also testing whether Xiaochen was joking or really had the strength. Now it seemed that he should be here to play underground black boxing. Of course, the black-shirt man did not suspect that Xiaochen was a police officer. After all, he had found his way here. If he was a police officer, it would be impossible for him to come alone. A few police cars would come and surround this place. There was no need for an undercover or anything like that. Xiaochen nodded and did not say anything. At this moment, he was acting like a ruthless swordsman. Xiaochen followed the black-shirt man and came to the front of a communication shaft. The black-shirt man pulled the manhole cover and there was actually an elevator below. This made Xiaochen's mouth twitch. This group of people really knew how to research. However, it seemed that there was more than one elevator. There should be a lot of them around the abandoned factory. Otherwise, when the audience came, one elevator would not be able to fit them. He followed the black-shirt man down the communication shaft and into the elevator. Soon, the elevator stopped. The elevator door opened, and the scene in front of him made Xiaochen couldn't help but be amazed. This place could be described as brightly lit. It was simply like the backstage of a small stadium. Xiaochen followed the black-shirt man through the brightly lit corridor and came to a room. In the room, there was a man in his 30s sitting. The black-shirted man said respectfully, "Brother Luozi, this person is here to play boxing. His kung fu is not bad. I am not his opponent." The man called Luozi was originally concerned, but after hearing the black-shirted man's words, he suddenly squinted his eyes and took Xiaofan seriously. He stood up and said, "Hero, we welcome you to play boxing here. Our reward here is quite generous. There is a prize for every boxing match. If you are confident in yourself, you can bet yourself." Luozi was the manager of this underground boxing arena. He was the core backbone of the Lu family gang. He was someone that Lu Siwen valued. When he heard that the black-shirted man was not his opponent, it meant that he was at least a master of Inner Force Stage 1. Currently, the boxing arena lacked such a strong boxer. "Alright, tell me the rules." "I will study them first," Xiaofan nodded and said. "Let me give you a brief introduction. You can think about it. However, I suggest that you observe other people's boxing today. Don't go on stage until you understand the rules. It won't be too late to go on stage tomorrow." Luozi said, "This way, you can also evaluate your strength and your opponent's strength." Luozi was also doing this for the long-term development of the boxing arena. If Xiaofan was too strong or too weak, it would be meaningless if he ended the match as soon as he went on stage. "Alright, tell me." Xiaofan didn't say if he would go on stage tonight. In fact, he also wanted to see the strength of the boxers here. According to the level of the boxers, we divide it into level 1, 2, and 3 competitions. Basically, the contestants in the level 1 competition are all martial artists of Inner Force Stage 1. However, the prize for this competition is also the least. The winner will only get 10,000 yuan. The rule is that the winner must not kill his opponent, or else there will be no prize. Luozi explained, of course, in order to prevent strong boxers from hiding their strength, if a fighter wins more than 10 matches in the level 1 competition, he will be banned from participating in the level 1 competition. If he wants to continue, he must participate in the level 2 competition, and so on. The prize for the winner of the level 2 competition is 30,000 yuan, and the winner of the level 3 competition is 50,000 yuan. Of course, there is also the top-level competition. The contestants in the top-level competition are all top-notch masters. Different from the previous 3 competitions, the top-level competition doesn't care about life and death, but the winner can get 100,000 yuan. "I see." Xiaofan nodded. He finally understood the rules. Lu Jinming said that he could get 100,000 yuan for a single match. It was completely a lie. The top fighters who didn't care about life and death would only get 100,000 yuan. The rest would only get 50,000 yuan at most. Then, as a newbie, can I directly participate in the level 3 competition? That's not allowed. You must first participate in the level 1 and level 2 competition. We are also testing your strength. Luozi said, if you win these 2 matches, you will be allowed to participate in the level 3 competition. If you win the level 3 competition, you can go to the top-level competition. I understand. Then I will participate in the level 1 competition first, Xiaofan said. Now? Luozi was surprised. You don't want to think about it? No need. Xiaofan shook his head. Alright. Although you can't kill your opponent in the level 1 competition, you are allowed to get hurt. If you lose, you won't get a single cent and you will have to treat your own injuries. Luozi reminded him, also, you can bet on yourself. As a newbie, your payout is 1 to 5. In other words, if you bet 10,000 yuan and win, you will get 50,000 yuan. You can think about it. Alright, I will bet 20,000 yuan. Xiaofan nodded straightforwardly. He currently had 20,000 yuan, which was given to him by Yu Xiaochuan. However, it would be a waste not to earn this kind of money. After all, the underground boxing arena belonged to Lu Zhenming's family. Sure. Luozi pressed a button on the table. After a while, a staff in a white shirt came. Luozi said to him, "This is the new boxer. Take him to do the procedures." "Okay, brother Luozi." The white shirt man nodded. The man in black left and the white shirt man took Xiao Chen to do the procedures. He helped Xiao Chen register his name. Xiao Chen said, "White Fox." The white shirt man didn't care about it at all. The people who came here to fight were mostly wanted criminals or retired boxers. They didn't want others to know their identity. Wanted criminals usually had a high reward for reporting. They weren't afraid of the arena because the arena was an illegal underworld business. However, it was different for those who came to watch the boxing match. They didn't dare to offend the arena. They went out to report the arena because the biggest gang in the city, the Lu family gang, was behind the arena. They would report a wanted criminal if they wanted to. There were many cases of people taking risks for the reward. Therefore, all wanted criminals wore masks so that their identities would not be revealed. It was the same for retired boxing coaches and athletes. When they were young, they might have been powerful. They didn't want others to know that they earned money after retirement, so they hid their identity. Chapter 100. When they came here, they would choose a code name. This code name would become the code that everyone bet on and the name that they would use to fight here. White Fox, this is your registration card. This is the betting voucher. You bet on yourself. According to the newcomer's odds, it is 1 to 5. That is to say, if you win, you will get a prize of 110,000 yuan, and the money you bet will be returned. If you lose, you will not get a penny. Do you understand? Understood. Xiao Chen nodded. Okay, then please take a break in the reserve seats. When the number of your registration card is called, you can enter the preparation room to prepare. The white shirt nodded. As for Xiao Chen's 20,000 yuan bet, he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. After all, although the odds for newcomers were high, the audience didn't bet much. They would bet on the veteran players, such as those who won 3 or 5 matches in a row. However, when Xiao Chen got the registration card, his expression was slightly stagnant. However, under the cover of the white fox mask, the white shirt couldn't find anything wrong. Xiao Chen had seen this registration card before. That night, the person who attacked him in the alley had such a card in his pocket. At that time, Xiao Chen had suspected that this person was an underground black boxing player. Now, it seemed that his judgment was correct. Since that person came out of this boxing field, Xiao Chen could basically guess who was going against him. Lu Zhenming? Am I that hateful? Xiao Chen didn't know how he provoked Lu Zhenming. This kid had been targeting him. Ever since he transferred to school, he had been looking for trouble. He actually found someone to assassinate him? Well, if that's the case, if you dare to do something too much, I don't mind sending you to hell. Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. However, if Lu Zhenming didn't do anything too much and always gave him money, then Xiao Chen didn't mind keeping him. After all, Chen Jinkuan's death was a bit strange. If Lu Zhenming died, Xiao Chen was really afraid that he would expose himself. Chen Jinkuan's death was not easy to associate. After all, he died in an accident, and Xiao Chen wasn't his only enemy. Even if someone knew that he humiliated Xiao Chen at the breakfast stall, no one would think that Xiao Chen killed him. After all, Xiao Chen didn't take any drastic measures at the breakfast stall, and he didn't say much. It could be said that he didn't have much interaction with Xiao Chen. Most people might ignore this point. But now it was different. If Lu Zhenming died, then the Lu family would go back to investigate and find that Lu Zhenming's biggest enemy was Xiao Chen himself. Xiao Chen was afraid that he would be in trouble. Maybe the Chen family would think of Chen Jinkuan. Even if Xiao Chen was a cultivator at the third level of the refinement stage, he couldn't escape the joint attack of the two families. Sitting in the reserve seats, Xiao Chen quietly looked at the ring. The two martial artists were fighting. Listening to the cheers of the audience, Xiao Chen sighed. This kind of underground business was really profitable. Not to mention the income from watching the fight, the income from gambling could be described as amazing. The two contestants on the stage were both martial artists at the first level of inner strength. The two of them were fighting hard. It seemed that the 10,000 yuan prize money was also very difficult to earn. However, there were more martial artists at the first level of inner strength. Some people who specialized in sports had basically reached the strength of a martial artist at the first level of inner strength. It was just that they didn't know it, or they didn't know how to use inner strength. Originally, Xiao Chen wanted to learn a little fighting experience from these two people, but to his regret, these two people were not regular martial artists. They were both unorthodox rogue cultivators. The two of them fought like they were boxing in the ring. This kind of technique was good in this kind of ring where people couldn't die, but it was not good in a real life and death fight. Maybe when you just made a move, the opponent had already used a killing move. After a while, one of the boxers found an opportunity and hit the opponent's back. The opponent fell to the ground and temporarily lost the ability to move. He won. In the ring, there was a burst of cheers and a few laments. Some people were happy and some people were sad. Those who won were naturally happy, and those who lost were naturally sad. Xiao Chen registered later, so it was impossible for him to participate immediately. He waited for another match, and the previous person won again. This time, the cheers were even louder. It seemed that this time, there were more people who bet on his victory, so these people received a certain amount of prize money. In fact, the organizer wasn't a fool. This person was also a newcomer before, and the odds were 1 to 5. However, after 2 matches, the odds became 1 to 1. In other words, even if there were more people who bet, the money won wasn't much. Next, let's invite the newcomer of the boxing field, the 9th boxer, White Fox, to get ready. From the speaker, a voice called Xiao Chen came out, and on the big screen, Xiao Chen's head wearing the White Fox mask also appeared. And the person fighting him was actually the boxer who had won 3 matches in a row. It seemed that this person was really an ever-victorious general, and he wanted to fight to the end. At this time, it was time for Xiao Chen to prepare, time for that person to rest, and time for the audience to bet. 20 minutes later, Xiao Chen and that person went on stage at the same time. That person didn't wear a mask, but he didn't reveal his real name. His code name was Boa Rat. White Fox versus Boa Rat. White Fox's odds were 1 to 5, and Boa Rat's odds were 1 to 0. 5. His odds dropped again, dropping to the freezing point. However, even so, there were only a few people who bet on Xiao Chen's victory, almost none. All the audience in the audience basically bet on Boa Rat. Even if the odds were 1 to 0. 5, it was still profitable. This was actually a strategy of the casino. Although it seemed that Boa Rat had won several matches in a row, the opponents he challenged were all newcomers, so he didn't necessarily meet his opponent in any match. In this way, the audience who bet on him would all lose. Although the odds of this game were low, the amount of bets was unprecedented. The audience was impulsive. Seeing Boa Rat win consecutively, they naturally wanted to make more money. Xiao Chen and Boa Rat stood on the stage. Xiao Chen imitated the previous contestants and cupped his fists. Boa Rat also did the same. Then, the two waited for the referee to announce the start. 3, 2, 1, start. With a roar, the game began. In fact, Xiao Chen already had a general understanding of Boa Rat's strength. This person's strength wasn't very strong. If Xiao Chen wanted to beat him, it would be easy. Today, Xiao Chen was aiming for the 3rd level competition. The third-level competition could get a prize of 50,000 yuan, and it wouldn't be life-threatening. Xiaoqun stood with his hands behind his back, looking very arrogant. When Boa Rat saw that Xiaoqun was so arrogant, he couldn't help but sneer. "You're quite pretentious, aren't you? If you don't move, don't think that I will let you win." As soon as his voice fell, Boa Rat made a move. To be precise, he made a kick. In a fight, compared with the arm, the leg had a considerable advantage. Long legs could prevent the opponent from getting close, and Boa Rat's move was just a test. Although he said it arrogantly, he didn't underestimate Xiaoqun. Those who could come here to compete were not cowards. The previous two opponents were just a little weaker. When Boa Rat made a kick, Xiaoqun also followed. In fact, it was very easy for Xiaoqun to kill him, but in order to avoid the game being too boring, Xiaoqun limited his strength to the first level of the qi refinement stage. In the strength that Xiaoqun showed, there was no internal force in it. Therefore, in the eyes of outsiders, Xiaoqun was an ordinary person who didn't even have the first level of internal force. He wasn't a martial artist at all. Pa! The two people's legs collided with each other, making a sound. Boa Rat retracted his leg and thought to himself, "This guy isn't even a first-level internal force martial artist, but his strength is not small." Although this strength didn't have internal force, the power was almost the same as a first-level internal force martial artist. Therefore, Boa Rat didn't dare to underestimate Xiaoqun. His moves were not so casual, and he began to be cautious. As a result, the two of them exchanged a few kicks, as if they were testing each other's trump cards. However, suddenly, Boa Rat made a feint. After retracting his leg, he didn't retreat to prepare for the second move like before. Instead, he directly used the rising dragon fist and punched at Xiaoqun's head. Xiaoqun had been playing with him for so long, and he was a little impatient. Seeing that Boa Rat changed his move, he stopped pretending. He quickly took a step back, then used a block and slapped at Boa Rat. For some reason, Xiaoqun suddenly had a special fondness for blocks at this time. Could it be that in the basketball game, he was blocked by Chen Jinpeng and had a psychological shadow? Now that he had the strength, he also liked to block others. Boa Rat's rising dragon fist had just risen halfway when he was slapped down by Xiaoqun. The speed was beyond his imagination, and he directly fell to the ground with a plop. Originally, after being slapped to the ground, he should be able to get up quickly, but Boa Rat didn't. Just now, Xiaoqun's strength was so great that after his body fell to the ground, he only felt that his internal organs were out of place, and his bones should have been broken. To be able to cause so much damage at such a short height, Xiaoqun's strength was already close to a second-level internal force martial artist. The audience was looking forward to the god of war in their hearts quickly getting up and showing his power to send Xiaoqun flying. However, after waiting for a full half a minute, Boa Rat on the ground still didn't get up. Even the referee didn't believe that Boa Rat couldn't get up, so he had been waiting. Otherwise, if the opponent couldn't get up for 10 seconds, the other side would have been declared the winner. At this time, the referee had just come back to his senses. He quickly jumped into the ring, smiled at Xiaoqun apologetically, and then announced loudly, "White Fox wins." Chapter 101. This time, there was no need for a 10-second countdown because Python Rat had been lying on the ground for more than 30 seconds. A countdown was a little unnecessary. The entire audience was silent. They never expected that Python Rat would be beaten to the ground a few minutes after the boxing match began and could not get up. How was this possible? Could it be that the boxing venue saw that they had placed their bets and deliberately found someone to support them? However, thinking about the reputation of this underground boxing venue, it did not seem like such a thing had happened before. After a while, someone began to lament. Soon, the medical team went up to the ring and examined Python Rat. After the leading doctor finished the examination, he announced, Python Rat has 3 fractured ribs and his right arm is fractured. He is now unconscious. When the other medical staff lifted Python Rat, everyone saw that his right arm was bent abnormally. Obviously, it was snapped by Xiao Chen when he used the Rising Dragon Fist. At this moment, the audience believed that it was impossible for him to be supported. Python Rat would not allow himself to be beaten up like this just to cooperate with the support. For an underground boxer, the arm was very important. If he did not recover well, he might not be able to fight in the future. Xiao Chen got off the stage and entered the resting room to rest. On the big screen, the White Fox's odds dropped from 1-5 to 1. Because Xiao Chen's match was simply too fast, the organizers had no choice but to make a huge adjustment. Previously, there were very few people who bet on Xiao Chen. Even if there were, it was a small number of people who bet for fun. The amount was not very large, so they did not win much money. At this moment, they were regretting it. Xiao Chen won this round and took back the 20,000 yuan he lost, as well as the 110,000 yuan prize money. Mr. White Fox, do you still want to challenge the first-level competition in the next match? When the white shirt asked this question, he was a little worried. After all, if Xiao Chen continued to fight in the first-level competition, there would be few opponents. No, I want to challenge the second-level competition. Xiao Chen said faintly. Okay, then I will prepare it for you. Because you are the winner, you have the priority to challenge. We will arrange it now. Are you sure you want to continue the challenge? The man in the white shirt heaved a sigh of relief. If Xiao Chen challenged a second-class competition, it was impossible for the audience to bet on Xiao Chen. After all, no matter how good Xiao Chen was, it was only for the first-class competition. No problem. Xiao Chen nodded. In addition, I will continue to bet this 130,000 yuan on myself. Okay. The white shirt nodded and went to make the arrangements. The White Fox's odds became 1-1. The audience still wanted to bet because Xiao Chen's overwhelming advantage was too obvious. However, when the audience saw that the White Fox's next match was a second-class match, they all retracted their excited minds. It could be said that in the second-level tournament, any contestant could KO a contestant in the first-level tournament in a very short period of time. So, if they were to bet everything on Xiao Chen at this time, it was a little too risky. Moreover, Xiao Chen's odds weren't high anymore. It was now 1-1. Besides, like Xiao Chen, after challenging the first-level competition, he felt that he was good enough and then challenged the second-level competition. After that, many people lost. Therefore, Xiao Chen might not continue to win. When Xiao Chen's opponent appeared on the big screen, the people present were even less optimistic about Xiao Chen. This was because the person who challenged Xiao Chen was a veteran player. This person was called Meng Long. He had won 7 second-level competitions in a row. If he won 3 more, he would be disqualified from the second-level competition. The boxing arena could not allow you to win all the time. Not only would you win every match, but the audience would also bet on you. How could the boxing arena make money then? However, this person was sent to fight Xiao Chen. In fact, it was Luozi's idea. He made a simple judgment about Xiao Chen's strength. He thought that Xiao Chen was aiming for the third-level competition, so the second-level competition should not be a problem. He could use Xiao Chen to make some money. Therefore, the number of bets on Xiao Chen and that person was basically 2-1. Xiao Chen was the minority, but Xiao Chen's odds were slightly higher. Meng Long's odds were only 1-2. Even so, the audience still thought that Meng Long had a higher chance of winning. After a short break, Xiao Chen went to the arena again. He went to the arena with a man with a ponytail. This man was Meng Long. Meng Long did not wear a mask. It seemed that he was not afraid of people knowing his face. Young man, I heard that you are very strong. You jumped from the first-level competition to the second-level competition. If your opponent was someone else, you might be able to win 1 or 2 rounds. However, you can only blame your bad luck for meeting me, Meng Long. Meng Long crossed his arms in front of his chest and said arrogantly. I have a hobby. I specialize in treating all kinds of difficult and complicated diseases. Xiaofan said calmly, I also have a nickname, the Terminator of acting tough. Those who act tough in front of me usually do not have a good ending. Ha, young man, you are quite humorous. Let's see if you still have the energy to be humorous later. Meng Long did not care at all. There were many people who spoke tough in the arena, but in the end, they all fell under his fists. He believed that this time would be the same. Contestants, in position. 3, 2, 1. Begin. The judge shouted into the microphone. Hey, after the referee said the word begin, Meng Long suddenly sent a flying kick towards Xiaofan. It seemed that although this was an underground boxing competition, the contestants liked to use underhanded kicks. Xiaofan did not want to waste time. He did not want to waste time with Meng Long. If he had the time, he could only earn money by fighting 2 third-level competitions. So, Xiaofan grabbed Meng Long's heel and swung it hard. After Meng Long's body spun in the air twice, he was suddenly thrown out of the arena by Xiaofan. Meng Long was feeling good about himself. He thought that he was experienced and that he wanted to give Xiaofan a show of strength. He wanted to make the first move and kill Xiaofan instantly. He had used this trick many times to deal with pretentious newbies. However, he did not expect that Xiaofan's reaction would be so quick. He grabbed his leg and threw him out of the arena. Meng Long was a Stage 2 inner force martial artist. Even if Xiaofan was a Stage 3 Qi refinement stage cultivator, he would not be able to kill him so quickly. However, it was his fault for underestimating Xiaofan. Meng Long knew that he was in trouble when he was thrown out by Xiaofan. Xiaofan's strength was not the strength of a Stage 2 inner force martial artist. It was obviously the strength of a Stage 3 inner force martial artist. Meng Long wanted to struggle but it was useless. He fell headfirst and fell off the arena. His face was covered in blood. His nose was dented and all his teeth had fallen off. However, this was only on the surface. Seeing that he was twitching on the ground, it was obvious that he had suffered a serious internal injury. The crowd was stunned once again, and fell into a dead silence. They were shocked when Xiaofan killed Boa Rat in a second. But now, Xiaofan killed Meng Long in a second. He was at a loss. Xiaofan was not lying. He really had the strength to do so. Boa Rat and Boa Rat did not notice anything. However, Meng Long's face was covered in blood and he was twitching non-stop. Everyone could tell that he was seriously injured. White Fox wins this round. The referee's reaction this time was a little faster than the previous time. However, the 10-second countdown had already passed. He ran into the arena and directly announced Xiaofan's victory. Aoo, at this time, those who bet on Xiaofan's victory all shouted. They won. Although the odds were not as high as before, they still made a profit. In the control room, Luozi watched Xiaofan win easily. He could not help but frown. The people sitting beside him were Lu Zhenming and Skinny Monkey. Luozi was worried. The young master of the Lu clan, Lu Zhenming, was here for an inspection, but the White Fox was here. The White Fox was different from the previous Boa Rat and Fierce Dragon. In every match, he had an absolute advantage over his opponents. In this way, if the White Fox were to continue fighting, the audience would definitely place their bets on Xiaofan. Moreover, it would be a huge bet. Although the casino could afford it, Luozi was embarrassed to lose money in front of Lu Zhenming. If it was any other time, it would have been fine. No matter how amazing Xiaofan was, he would only be able to fight 10 matches at most. Lowering the odds and giving the audience some benefits would also allow them to spend more money to bet here in the future. How are we going to make money if the White Fox continues to do this? White Fox's odds are 1 o'clock. 5. The next round hasn't even started and he already has more than 10 million on him. If we lose money, we will lose millions. Lu Zhenming said unhappily. Luozi smiled bitterly. As expected, Lu Zhenming was a little unhappy. The money they lost belonged to the Lu clan. In other words, it was Lu Zhenming's family's money. Master Ming, it's normal for us to make money from gambling, Luozi said. However, the White Fox's target is the third-class competition. We might not be so lucky then. All right. Lu Zhenming nodded. After Xiao Chen rested for a while, he chose to challenge the level 3 competition. However, his current odds were very low. Xiao Chen had won 160,000 in the previous competition. Adding the 130,000 from before, he had a total of 290,000. The speed at which he earned money was still quite fast, 290,000 on myself. I will challenge the third-class competition, Xiao Chen said to the man in white shirt. Okay, I will arrange it. The man in white shirt nodded and went to arrange it. The third round of the competition soon began. In this match, Xiao Chen's opponent was a third-class inner force martial artist. However, he had just advanced to third-class inner force. His name was Little Kuei. It was said that he was a retired martial arts instructor. Therefore, although his strength might be that of a third-class martial artist and he wasn't particularly strong, his actual combat experience was quite rich. Chapter 102. This was an old player, and the boxing arena had his information. Xiao Chen looked at the information and found that this person was indeed an ever-victorious general. Before this, he had also come to the boxing arena under an alias. At that time, his name was Thief Pit, but this identity could only fight 10 rounds. After 10 rounds, he changed his identity and came here again as Xiao Kuei. Obviously, these audience members did not know. Because Thief Pit and Little Kuei were both masked, they did not know that they were the same person. It was because the boxing venue had used the newbie Little Kuei as a surprise attack several times and won a lot of bets. In this kind of situation where you changed your identity, as long as you told the boxing arena would usually allow it. After all, it was a good thing for the casino. This information was only compiled by the boxing arena for the players to see. It was impossible for the audience to see it. It was estimated that in the future, White Fox's information would also be compiled. There are not many people who have seen my information and still want to fight with me. You have guts. Xiao Kuei looked at the big screen not far away. His expression was a little ugly, but others could not see it. In the past, he was the one with the most bets, but now it was Xiao Chen. Of course, this was also because the opponent was not announced before, so everyone bet on Xiao Chen. At this time, it was impossible to change it even if they wanted to. Although some people made up for it and bet on Xiao Kuei, their bets were pitifully small, completely incomparable to Xiao Chen. Just now, there was a pretentious person who was sent off the stage by me. You pretended to be pretentious in front of me again. Didn't your mother tell you that my name is Pretentious Terminator? Xiao Chen said indifferently. At this time, the referee picked up the microphone and shouted, 2 players, take your positions. 3, 2, 1, start. The game began. Xiao Kuei did not rush to make a move. Instead, he stood at the side of the ring. He was obviously waiting for Xiao Chen to make the first move. He wanted to observe Xiao Chen's moves and make the most reasonable attack plan. When Xiao Chen saw that Xiao Kuei was not going to make a move, he did not want to compete with her in terms of patience. He had come here to win money and did not want to waste time. If he went back late, what would he do if the young mistress and Jean Bebe were starving? He still had to go back and make food. Xiao Chen threw a punch. He didn't hold back and punched Xiao Kuei in the face. Xiao Kuei gently dodged and avoided Xiao Chen's move. He was an experienced boxer, so it was impossible for him to be hit directly by Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen also attached great importance to this fight. This was the first time since he had become a self-cultivator that he had truly fought against an expert with level 3 internal energy. Xiao Chen moved, and so did Xiao Kuei. However, both of them were probing each other. Although their words were sharp before the competition, they weren't as fierce as before. The two of them exchanged several moves, but neither of them used their full strength. The audience thought that this match would be the same as the previous two matches. Xiao Chen would directly kill his opponent, but the reality disappointed them. It seemed that the white fox was also afraid when facing an expert. It's just a so-so. After a few rounds of probing, Xiao Kuei felt that he had figured out Xiao Chen's moves. He suddenly changed his move. He turned his fist into a claw and clawed at Xiao Chen's face and Xiao Chen's genitals. As the saying goes, don't hit people in the face, and don't kick people in the genitals. These were the two most insidious moves. However, Xiao Kuei actually used two of them at once. Obviously, he was a vicious person. At this moment, Xiao Chen either kicked or punched. However, if he punched, he would hit Xiao Kuei's head at most. However, Xiao Kuei's other hand also gave him a monkey steals the peach. If this part was scratched, it would be painful even if it wasn't crippled. If he kicked, he would at most kick Xiao Kuei's genitals, but it didn't prevent Xiao Kuei from clawing at his face. This was a move that hurt both sides. Therefore, there was no way. Xiao Chen could only quickly dodge backward, but what Xiao Chen didn't expect was that Xiao Kuei's two moves were just feints. The real killing move was his two legs. Seeing Xiao Chen retreat, it seemed to be what Xiao Kuei wanted. He leaned forward with his hands on the ground and his legs in the air. He was going to kick Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was retreating with his legs, but Xiao Kuei did a somersault. His speed was naturally faster than Xiao Chen. Therefore, Xiao Chen's ribs were kicked by Xiao Kuei. Although Xiao Chen's retreating force offset some of Xiao Kuei's strength, he still couldn't help but feel some blood surging up. I was careless. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. I still lack combat experience. I thought that the two claws were killing moves. After all, they were very insidious, but I didn't expect it to be a feint. Xiao Chen, you shouldn't have retreated just now. If you were kicked, at most, your ribs would be broken. However, you are a cultivator. Your injuries recover quickly. Martial artists are different. You wasted such a good opportunity just now. The voice of Elder Heaven Ancestor came into Xiao Chen's ears. You just have to endure these two kicks, and then kick his head. Even if he doesn't faint, he will have a concussion. Ugh. Xiao Chen was stunned. Only then did he realize that it was true. When Xiao Kuei did a somersault, although his feet kicked, his hands were on the ground and his head was facing down. At this time, Xiao Chen only had to face the blade and kick his head. Xiao Kuei's hands couldn't defend, and his feet were in the air. Wouldn't he be kicked to death? Then now? Xiao Chen asked humbly. He landed on the ground. Kick his J8. The Elder Heaven Ancestor shouted. Pfft. Xiao Chen listened to the Elder Heaven Ancestor's words and almost laughed out loud. However, when he looked closely, he saw that Xiao Kuei's legs had landed on the ground while Xiao Chen retreated. His whole body was in an arched position, and he hadn't stood up yet. Xiao Chen made a prompt decision. He ignored the pain in his chest and kicked Xiao Kuei's crotch with all his strength. Bang, ouch, with a muffled sound and a scream, Xiao Kuei fell to the ground before he could stand up. He was in so much pain that he was rolling around on the ground. Xiao Chen didn't play by the rules, which made Xiao Kuei depressed. When a normal person was kicked in the chest, they wouldn't be able to breathe. It would take a few seconds for them to adjust their breathing. By that time, he would have stood up. However, Xiaofan didn't do that. He directly stepped forward and kicked. Could it be that Xiaofan didn't feel the pain? However, even if he could endure the pain, it was impossible for him to kick quickly. When a martial artist practiced martial arts, one's inner strength required one to take a deep breath. Only by taking a deep breath could one release their inner strength. When one was kicked in the chest, it would be difficult to breathe. How could one take a deep breath and attack? Even if one attacked, it wouldn't have much power. This was why Xiao Kuei had won so many battles. No one used this move to kick him. However, it didn't work on Xiaofan. This match, White Fox wins. The referee was already used to it. He went on stage and announced Xiaofan's victory. However, when he looked at Xiao Kuei who was on the ground, his mouth twitched. This was too ruthless. However, this underground boxing was all about defeating the opponent. There were no restrictions on moves. If it was agreed upon beforehand, even weapons could be used. This time, the audience cheered thunderously. Basically, everyone had bet on White Fox's victory. Now that White Fox had won, they could earn money. The few who bet on Xiao Kuei were a little depressed. They had already bet on White Fox, yet they bet on Xiao Kuei out of the blue. Wasn't that too much of a waste of time? This was bad. White Fox's payout was 1:05. Even if they earned money, they wouldn't be able to make up for Xiao Kuei's bet. In the resting room, Xiaofan felt an unbearable stuffiness in his chest. Furthermore, he was short of breath, and he felt as if a few of his ribs had been broken. If not for the fact that his body had a good foundation, he would have definitely cried out in pain. Elder Heaven Ancestor, I'm in so much pain. What should I do? Xiaofan asked with a bitter smile. Now you know pain? Elder Heaven Ancestor snorted. Who asked you not to ask me earlier? You thought you were so good. If I didn't ask, you could have reminded me. Xiaofan was a little speechless. Then how can you highlight the importance of your master? Elder Heaven Ancestor said proudly. F***ck. Xiaofan didn't expect Elder Heaven Ancestor to say this. He said helplessly, well, Elder Heaven Ancestor, what should I do about my injury? Circulating the heaven-seizing good fortune battle art once is basically no problem, but it will consume a part of your body's vitality. To fully recover, you need to circulate it 2 or 3 times. But now that you are circulating it in reverse, I don't know if it will work. You can try. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Then isn't it the same as not telling me? Xiaofan felt that he was cheated. That's different. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have tried it yourself. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Okay. Xiaofan closed his eyes and circulated the heaven-seizing good fortune battle art. Suddenly, a warm current flowed from Xiaofan's dantian to his whole body. It seemed to be some kind of energy. It quickly wrapped around Xiaofan's injury and then nourished the injured part. After a while, Xiaofan felt that the injury on his chest had healed. Moreover, the vitality in his body didn't seem to have been lost. He was still so energetic. You're fine. Elder Heaven Ancestor's surprised voice suddenly sounded in Xiaofan's ear, scaring Xiaofan. Damn, Elder Heaven Ancestor, can you not be so surprised? I wasn't beaten to death in the arena, but I was almost scared to death by you. Xiaofan complained. You're fine. He recovered so quickly. And the vitality in your body didn't decrease? Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice changed. Impossible, how is that possible? I used to be, very high level. That's why I could heal as fast as you. Moreover, your vitality was just consumed. How could it be completely replenished? Impossible. Is it impossible to be more talented than you? I am a super genius in the universe. Xiao Chen was stunned after saying this. Wasn't this the tone of a young miss? Ahem, it's possible. You are my disciple. It's normal for the disciple to be stronger than the master. Otherwise, it's not in line with the concept of development. Elder Heaven Ancestor said shamelessly. Xiao Chen was speechless. Chapter 103. Mr. White Fox, do you want to continue the challenge? Seeing that Xiao Chen had sat up straight, the white shirt on the side knew that Xiao Chen had rested, so he asked. It was normal for boxers to rest after a match, so he didn't think there was anything wrong. Seeing Xiao Chen's appearance, he thought that Xiao Chen wasn't injured. Continue. Xiao Chen nodded and said, how much money do I have? I'm betting everything on myself. You have 485,000 now. The corner of the white shirt's mouth twitched. There weren't many players who bet like Xiao Chen. Even if the other players were confident in themselves, they were still afraid of accidents happening. They wouldn't bet all their money. If they lost, they would lose everything, and the previous matches would be in vain. Okay, it's still the third-level competition, said Xiao Chen. The white shirt nodded and went out to make arrangements. However, as soon as he went out, he was called to Air Luozi's office. Brother Air Luozi, you called me? Asked the white shirt respectfully. That white fox, do you still want to fight? How is his condition? Is he injured? Logically, Air Luozi wouldn't interfere in this matter, but Lu Jinming was sitting next to him. He had to interfere. Replying to Brother Air Luozi, White Fox doesn't seem to be injured. He wants to continue to challenge the third-level competition, said the white shirt. How many third-level contestants are left tonight? Air Luozi frowned and asked. There's only one left, said the white shirt. Okay, just this one. It's the last one. There's no more challenges. Let him fight again. The odds are 1 o'clock. 2. Air Luozi nodded after listening. Okay, I got it. The white shirt nodded and went out to make arrangements. As for Air Luozi, he turned his head and looked at Lu Jinming next to him. He said respectfully, there's only one left. Let him leave after the fight. Our underground boxing is open for business. We can't shut people out. How can we recruit these boxers in the future? I got it. Lu Jinming nodded. I'm just afraid of losing money. In the fourth match, Xiao Chen's opponent was Pu Donglai, a foreigner who was good at Taekwondo. His current occupation was the curator and chief coach of a martial arts club. He did not hide his identity. His purpose was to attract some martial artists to study in his martial arts club through underground boxing. This person's support rate was not low, but today, Xiao Chen had won many games in a row, so the audience bet on Xiao Chen. With little Kuei's lesson, no one bet on Pu Donglai this time. Pu Donglai's face darkened when he saw that his bet was only 100,000 yuan. He stared at Xiao Chen fiercely and said, "Boy, your voice is very loud, isn't it? But I will make you pay." Although this person was a foreigner, he had been in Songning City for many years, so he was fluent in the language. Oh, it's good that you're pretentious. I'm just afraid that you won't. You should know that I'm the terminator of pretentiousness, White Fox hero, Xiao Chen said lightly. Ready. 3, 2, 1. Start. The referee shouted. The match began. Ha! Pu Donglai shouted and kicked at Xiao Chen. Pa! Xiao Chen used his hand to block the kick. This Pu Donglai was only a stage 3 inner force martial artist. With Xiao Kuei's experience, Xiao Chen wasn't afraid of him at all. Xiao Chen welcomed the kick and rushed forward. He didn't care if the force of the kick would hurt him or not. Boom! Xiao Chen punched at Pu Donglai's head. Pu Donglai was a little dumbfounded. Didn't boxers usually test each other's bottom line? After he kicked, Xiaofan did not dodge and let him kick him. What kind of fighting style was this? Although Pu Donglai did not use his full strength, if this kick was a solid one, it would probably break bones. Could it be that Xiaofan would rather be injured? However, he only thought about it for a moment and then he could not think of anything else. Because his head had been hit, he was lying on the ground and fainted. Of course, only a cultivator like Xiaofan, who was at the peak of Stage 3 Qi refinement stage, could knock out a Stage 3 inner force warrior with one punch. Those who were weaker would at most get a concussion. There was an uproar. The audience in the underground arena burst into thunderous applause. Many people stood up and shouted Xiaofan's name loudly. White Fox Hero is mighty. White Fox Hero is awesome. White Fox Hero is awesome. He specializes in treating difficult and complicated diseases, solving all kinds of dissatisfaction, and defeating all opponents in seconds. Xiaofan stood in the ring and began to circulate the mantra of fate seizing heaven's will. He quickly healed the injury on his arm. He felt that he was a bit of a bully. In a battle between a cultivator and a warrior of the same level, there was indeed an absolute advantage. Xiaofan did not even use his imagination and easily defeated his opponent. A Stage 3 inner force warrior. In the past, Xiaofan did not even dare to think about it, but now, he was easily defeated by Xiaofan. At this moment, Xiaofan found his long-lost self-confidence. This match, White Fox wins. The referee went to the ring and announced. Xiaofan nodded, got off the ring, and returned to the lounge. This match, Xiaofan seemed to have won easily, so the man in the white shirt did not dare to underestimate him. He asked carefully, "Mr. White Fox, what do you think, now? I still want to continue challenging. Can I?" asked Xiaofan. "You can, but there are no more level 3 fighters tonight. What do you think?" The man in the white shirt asked with some difficulty. "Oh, then change to level 2, said Xiaofan. "Mr. White Fox, this is not in line with the rules. You have already won in the level 3 competition. You are not allowed to challenge the level 2 competition. Otherwise, if the level 3 fighters challenge the level 1 and level 2 competition, it would be meaningless, right?" The man in the white shirt quickly explained. "Oh, then what should I do?" Xiaofan did not have enough money. He was really short of money. Although a medicine was 120,000 now, that was only the preferential price after the discount. God knew how much it would become the next time he bought medicine. How about this? I will ask the person in charge, Brother Luozi. If it doesn't work, you can only go back first and come back next time. The man in the white shirt said with a smile. "Oh, then you go." Xiaofan nodded. He said that there were no more opponents. He couldn't force it, right? The man in the white shirt went out, but Xiaofan released the spiritual sense of cultivator. He wanted to hear what the man in the white shirt said. Was there really no more opponents, or was he afraid of Xiaofan's victory? Luozi's office wasn't far from here. Without the help of Elder Heaven Ancestor, Xiaofan could hear the movement there. The man in the white shirt came to Luozi's office again. After he walked in, he said hurriedly, "Brother Luozi, that White Fox wants to continue challenging. What do you think? We have no more level 3 fighters. Why don't we ask him to come again tomorrow?" "Come again tomorrow? Then when he comes tomorrow, won't he keep winning? Aren't we going to lose a lot of money?" Lu Zhenming was unhappy before Luozi could say anything. Brother Luozi, this is..." The man in the white shirt didn't know the identity of Lu Zhenming. When he saw him sitting at the side, he thought he was Brother Luozi's guest, but he didn't expect him to be the host. "This is the young master of our Lu family gang, Lu Zhenming. He is also our future master." Luozi introduced, "His words are orders." Ugh, but, young Master Ming, brother Air Luozi, the rules of our underground boxing field allow for a full 10 rounds. If we don't let him fight a full round and force him to leave, then it's hard to say. Isn't this destroying our own reputation? The man in the white shirt said helplessly and carefully. He couldn't chase away White Fox and never let him come again. Young Master Ming, he's right. In fact, Air Luozi wanted to use the mouth of the man in the white shirt to explain the pros and cons of this matter. Our underground boxing field has flourished all these years because of our reputation. If the casino has no reputation, then it's over. If that's the case. Although Lu Zhenming felt that it was inappropriate to lose money like this, he wasn't a brainless person. When Air Luozi and the man in the white shirt said this, he also realized the problem. However, seeing White Fox being so arrogant, he was really unhappy. He hesitated for a moment and said, "How about this, why don't we let the master that Teacher Lei invited defeat White Fox directly? Let him never come again." Let's use the master now. Didn't you use this master to deal with Xiao Chen? Air Luozi was stunned. Although that Xiao Chen is powerful, it's impossible for him to defeat this expert. Even our second-rank boxer might not be a match for him. Sending a top-notch expert boxer is only because top-notch competitions don't care about life and death. Lu Zhenming said, but, the top boxer can defeat White Fox. The remaining stamina is more than enough to defeat Xiao Chen. That's good. Air Luozi nodded and said, go and inform White Fox now. Tell him that we only have one top boxer left. If he wants to challenge, he can continue to challenge. Otherwise, there won't be any level 3 boxers in the near future. I'm not sure when we will have one. Air Luozi wanted to trick White Fox. Since White Fox wanted to win money, he definitely wouldn't wait for so long. It was also a good thing to let the top boxer fight. After all, White Fox had won a lot of money and the support rate was close to 100%. If he lost a match, the money that was lost in the boxing field could be recovered. The man in the white shirt nodded and went to find Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was in the lounge and heard the conversation between him and Air Luozi. What surprised Xiao Chen was that he actually heard Lu Zhenming's voice. Chapter 104. At this moment, Xiao Chen finally understood why Lu Zhenming wanted to trick him to come here to fight. It turned out that he wanted to find an expert to kill him. Originally, Xiao Chen didn't want to fight in this kind of top competition. However, Lu Zhenming's targeting made him change his mind. This expert was invited by Lu Zhenming to deal with him. Even if Xiao Chen didn't appear today and didn't fight with this person, then Lu Zhenming might let this person kill him in other ways. At that time, instead of letting this person die in the hands of Xiao Chen, it would be better to let him die in the hands of the White Fox. Xiao Chen didn't want to expose his strength for the time being. Mr. White Fox, I've kept you waiting. The white shirt returned to the lounge and respectfully said to Xiao Chen, I just asked the boss. Because there aren't many boxers in the third-level competition, only these 2 people have signed up for this period of time. However, they were both crippled by Mr. White Fox. For the time being, I'm afraid there won't be any third-level boxers who can fight with Mr. White Fox, so Mr. White Fox must continue to fight today. Then, there is only one boxer left in the top competition. What do you think? The white shirt's words made Xiao Chen want to laugh. Isn't his acting quite good? However, Xiao Chen already knew that he would say this. Holding back his laughter, Xiao Chen said faintly, top boxer? What kind of strength is that? Do you have any information for me to see first? This top boxer is a martial artist at the peak of third-level inner force. Of course, there is information. Mr. White Fox, please wait a moment. The white shirt wouldn't hide the strength of this opponent. As long as it was an old boxer in the boxing ring, there would be information. He believed that after today, the White Fox information would also be sorted out. Okay, show it to me. I will think about it. Xiaofan didn't agree or refuse. He just wanted to take a look. The white shirt nodded and went to get the information. Xiaofan asked in his mind, Elder Heaven Ancestor, do you think I should fight? A martial artist at the peak of Stage 3 internal force. He's a tough opponent. The Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded, however, in theory, his strength is about the same as yours. You just stepped into the third layer of the Qi refinement stage, while he is at the peak of the third layer of the internal strength stage. However, a flower in a greenhouse can't grow. I suggest you give it a try. Anyway, even if you don't try, this person will find trouble with you sooner or later. Do you still expect someone to help you every time? I can't. Xiaofan also felt that it was already very coincidental and lucky for the two previous incidents to appear out of nowhere. How could there be such a good thing every time? If Xiaofan's luck was really so good, he would have hugged the young lady and Shen Jingxian a long time ago. He would also have Kerlin sitting in his arms. He wouldn't be the abandoned son of the Xiao family. So, it's the same to fight early or late. What are you still thinking about? Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Then, let's try. Xiaofan took a deep breath. The current situation was indeed the same as the Elder Heaven Ancestor's analysis. There would be a battle sooner or later, so it was better to use the identity of the White Fox to solve it. After a while, the white shirt came back and brought Xiaofan a top fighter's information. Xiaofan read it carefully. Niu Zhijian, the thug of the Liu family gang. He has the strength of a martial artist at the peak of the third level of inner energy. Seeing this, Xiaofan was a little amused. This person seemed to be from Liu Zhenming's family. Of course, the white shirt would never think that Xiaofan was the White Fox, so he gave him the information without reservation. This Niu Zhijian looks very powerful. If I can't beat him and beg for mercy, can he let me go? Xiaofan looked at the information and asked. This is possible, but whether or not you can let him go depends on the opponent. The white shirt explained, if the opponent stops, then he wins the game. But if the opponent doesn't stop and wants to put the opponent to death, this rule is also allowed. If that's the case, then I understand. Xiaofan nodded thoughtfully and said, you go and arrange it. I want to challenge the top competition. In addition, I will bet all my prize money on this. Okay, but Mr. White Fox, your odds are only 1 o'clock. 1. Are you sure you want to continue betting? You now have a prize money of 632,000 yuan, the white shirt reminded. The man in the white shirt reminded him. Of course, he hoped that Xiaofan would bet, then lose his own prize money and scram, but he couldn't say that. Bet, Xiaofan said affirmatively. Okay, I will go and do it now. The white shirt responded and went to arrange. After a while, the sound of White Fox number 9 coming on stage came from the loudspeaker. Xiaofan also walked out of the lounge. Top competition. Xiaofan had already stood in the ring. Niu Zhijian came late and looked very bad *SS. He was originally a member of the Liu family gang, so he didn't have to hide anything when he came here to fight. Kid, I heard that you won a lot of matches. Niu Zhijian didn't care about his odds at all because the frequency of his appearances was very low. Few people chose this kind of top life and death match. The last time he fought was more than half a year ago, so almost no audience remembered him. However, his main purpose of coming here was to kill White Fox. As soon as he got on the stage, he punched twice to show his strength at the peak of the third stage of inner force. Then he lowered his voice and said, you should have won hundreds of thousands of yuan. It's fine if you leave when you can, but you're too greedy. Our young master doesn't like you anymore. Today, you have to stay here. Your voice is too soft. I didn't hear what you said. After waiting for Niu Zhijian to say a lot of things on stage, Xiaofan asked with a face full of doubt. You. Niu Zhijian's words just now were smooth and had the temperament of an expert. However, Xiaochen didn't hear it. When he said it again, he didn't have the momentum and feeling from before. This made him very unhappy. He could only snort and say, "Nothing. I just want to kill you." "Oh, actually, I want to say that too." Xiaochen nodded. "Then, make your move." Niu Zhijian was stunned. He showed his strength on stage before to attack Xiaochen's confidence. After all, the strength of a boxer who could win 2 third-level matches in a row couldn't be underestimated. Niu Zhijian couldn't use all his strength to fight with him today. There was still a classmate who had offended the young boss. That was the person he needed to get rid of. White Fox was just an appetizer. However, what surprised him was that White Fox wasn't afraid. He saw my strength, but he still let me make the first move. Is he fearless because he doesn't know, or is he confident? However, Niu Zhijian didn't talk nonsense with him. He was a thug of the Liu family gang. Fighting was a common occurrence. This kind of underground boxing without rules was what he was good at. White Fox hero is mighty. Get rid of this black bastard. Go, get rid of him. Come on, White Fox hero. White Fox hero is always victorious. I bet 1,000,000 yuan. You have to give it your all. Kill that little b*****. Seeing that the two of them didn't make a move, the audience immediately shouted. They didn't understand the test between experts. They just felt that Xiaochen would definitely win. Hearing that the people in the audience were cheering for White Fox, Niu Zhijian's blood suddenly surged and he was extremely annoyed. He stomped his feet and rushed towards Xiaochen like lightning. When he was 3 meters away from Xiaochen, his upper body suddenly leaned to the side. His left leg suddenly flew out and kicked Xiaochen's temple. As expected of a thug of the gang. Every move was fatal. There were no fancy feints. This was one of Niu Zhijian's ultimate moves. He cultivated a very domineering martial art called 1,000 kicks. In order to cultivate 1,000 kicks, he broke his legs 10 times. For several years, he kicked trees and electric poles early in the morning to practice. That was how he managed to cultivate 1,000 kicks. Therefore, the strength of his legs was amazing. If an ordinary opponent was kicked by this leg, even if they didn't die, they would be crippled. Feeling that Niu Zhijian's strength wasn't weak, Xiaochen didn't intend to retreat. The Elder Heaven Ancestor had told him that in a battle between experts, if you retreated, you would miss the opportunity and be beaten up. Therefore, Xiaochen quickly stretched out his arm to protect his temple. When Niu Zhijian's leg came over, he suddenly made a move and hit Niu Zhijian's flying kick. The feet collided and made a loud bang. Especially through the loudspeaker at the side of the ring, it was like a muffled thunder. It immediately attracted a round of applause from the audience. You're also at the peak of stage 3 inner force. The two figures collided and separated. Niu Zhijian was rebounded by the huge force and took 2 steps back. His eyes flashed with a look of horror. At this point, he could feel White Fox's strength. He was at the peak of stage 3 inner force. Although White Fox didn't show it before, the collision at that moment made Niu Zhijian feel that White Fox's strength was comparable to his. However, Xiaochen also took 2 steps back before he could stand firm. Although his strength was similar to Niu Zhijian's, Niu Zhijian used his leg technique to attack Xiaochen. It could only be said that Niu Zhijian's arm strength was normal, so it was still Xiaochen who was at a disadvantage. He felt as if he had punched an iron bar, and the bones in his fist seemed to be dislocated. In fact, Niu Zhijian didn't have it easy either. Although he had practiced 1,000 kicks, his legs were fine. However, Xiaochen's punch landed on the sole of his foot. As a result, the recoil made his hip bone hurt. This was like someone using a hammer to hammer a nail. The nail was fine, but the wooden board under the nail was smashed. Niu Zhijian felt that his hip bone was almost broken. The shock in Niu Zhijian's heart was at its peak. He didn't expect that his kick, which could break rocks and crack metal, would be resolved by White Fox's seemingly casual punch. Not only that, the rebound force almost made him lose his balance and his hip bone suffered some internal injuries. Chapter 105. However, he definitely couldn't show it. Although he needed to temporarily relieve the pain in his hip bone, he still stood up confidently and smiled faintly. You have some skills? It seems like our strength is about the same. That kid's hip was hurt by you. Go and beat him up now. He can't run away. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded in Xiao Chen's ears. Xiao Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. I say, Elder Heaven Ancestor, can't you see that my fist bone is also dislocated? Then why don't you use the mantra to repair it? What are you waiting for? Elder Heaven Ancestor said angrily. Okay. Xiao Chen took advantage of Niu Zhijian's time to use the mantra and let the vitality rush to his wrist and fist. A trace of comfortable warmth wrapped around Xiao Chen's injured area. Soon, it was as good as new. Your hip bone must be very painful, right? You're still pretending to talk to me. Do you think that I didn't notice? Xiao Chen looked at Niu Zhijian with a smile that wasn't a smile. His voice was full of ridicule and ridicule. Humph, if you say that, then I also have to say, is your hand going to break? Niu Zhijian was not angry that Xiao Chen saw through him. He only sneered and said, my 1,000 legs are iron legs. Your hand is probably more serious than mine, right? Sorry to disappoint you. My hand is fine. Look, I can still move and make gestures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Xiao Chen kept changing his hand gestures. You're pissing me off. Go and beat him up. Elder Heaven Ancestor was annoyed by Xiao Chen. If you have the time to show off, why don't you beat him up instead? He has already recovered. Didn't you notice? Xiao Chen naturally wasn't the kind of person who would show off. Although his hand had recovered, he also saw that Niu Zhijian had changed his posture. This meant that he was almost done. Sorry, I didn't notice. Elder Heaven Ancestor was a little embarrassed. I noticed you just now. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. Luckily, my observation skills are good. Otherwise, I would have rushed up and been killed by you. That's because I taught you cultivation. Otherwise, how could your observation skills be so good? Elder Heaven Ancestor laughed dryly. I was wondering why your hand was so strong. So it's because you practice your hand skills. Although Niu Zhijian was surprised to see that Xiao Chen's hand was fine, he quickly assumed that Xiao Chen was the same as him. It was just that Xiao Chen mainly cultivated his hand. Don't worry about it. If you want to fight, then hurry up. If not, then admit defeat. Xiao Chen waved his hand. Humph, courting death. Niu Zhijian rarely had an opponent in the boxing field. Today, White Fox made him a little annoyed. Most importantly, White Fox was just an appetizer. If he didn't get rid of him quickly, it wouldn't be good to delay young Master Lu's business. Thinking of this, Niu Zhijian immediately shouted and rushed toward Xiao Chen again. But this time, he was smart. He didn't just use his feet, but his hands and feet. His right fist and left foot, one left and one right, attacked Xiao Chen at the same time. Xiao Chen didn't expect Niu Zhijian to attack from both sides, but he didn't dodge. He swung his left fist and stretched out his right foot. He was ready to fight head-on like last time. Anyway, as long as Xiao Chen had time to circulate the mantra, he could recover from his injury. He was a cultivator. The recovery of his injury depended entirely on the vitality in his body. It was completely different from the natural recuperation of a martial artist. He had a huge advantage. He didn't believe that Niu Zhijian's fist was trained. In this way, his leg was fine, but his fist would definitely be injured. At that time, Niu Zhijian's recuperation time would definitely be longer, and Xiao Chen would have a chance. However, Xiao Chen's combat experience was still lacking. In the previous 4 matches, he basically won with a strong advantage in strength, but this time, he made a mistake in judgment. Niu Zhijian rushed in front of Xiao Chen, but he suddenly retracted his fist and feet. His figure suddenly changed, from the previous right fist and left foot to the left fist and right foot. Xiao Chen couldn't help but be shocked. Although he noticed this change, and his brain reacted immediately, he was still a step too late. After all, Niu Zhijian suddenly changed his move at a close distance. Bang! Bang! Xiao Chen blocked Niu Zhijian's left fist, and his left fist also swung out. Although it didn't block Niu Zhijian's right fist, it also smashed on Niu Zhijian's shoulder. However, the left leg below took a solid hit from Niu Zhijian. After all, the leg was different from the fist. When Xiao Chen swung his right fist, his left fist could also be swung out reflexively without retracting it. However, when his right leg was raised and didn't fall down, his left leg couldn't be lifted at all. Xiao Chen wasn't a jet plane. He needed a gravity support point. Pa! The fist was nothing. After all, Niu Zhijian's fist wasn't as overbearing as the leg, but his left leg had a piercing pain. He almost fell to the ground. Xiao Chen quickly retracted his leg. Originally, he wanted to kick with his right leg, but his left leg couldn't support it anymore. He could only retract his right leg to support his body. Although he hit Xiao Chen, Niu Zhijian's shoulder was hit by Xiao Chen, and his left fist was also in great pain. He quickly took a few steps back before he could stand firm. Niu Zhijian was very surprised. This change of fist and feet was his unique skill. He had practiced for many years to be able to make rapid changes at the critical moment. This kind of speed couldn't be achieved by ordinary people. This kind of move was very deceptive. Niu Zhijian had used this move to kill several opponents, including a martial artist who had just advanced to the 4th stage of inner force. However, Xiao Chen could actually respond in such a situation. Although it couldn't be said to be a complete response, at least he swung both his fists. This made Niu Zhijian take it seriously. He didn't know if Xiao Chen was injured now. He had kicked Xiao Chen previously, but Xiao Chen's fist seemed to be uninjured. Therefore, Niu Zhijian didn't dare to be careless. He quickly took a few steps back. He was afraid that if Xiao Chen was fine, it would be his death. His fist and shoulder were in great pain. His entire upper body didn't feel like it was his own. He had to adjust his breathing. Xiao Chen learned from his mistakes, but he couldn't be blamed. He used to be the young master of the Xiao family. He usually trained by himself. When did he fight with others? These tricks hadn't formed a concept in his mind. He endured the pain in his left leg. Although it was heart-wrenching, Xiao Chen knew that this was a great opportunity for him. While Niu Zhijian's upper body injury hadn't been adjusted, he could take advantage of the situation and win a crucial victory. As for his leg, he gritted his teeth and endured it. Xiao Chen was a person with strong endurance. If a good-for-nothing didn't have a bit of perseverance, how could he overdraft himself in the secret room for more than 10 years? Of course, this was also because Xiao Chen had a very powerful and domineering identity as a cultivator. Cultivators could use vitality to heal themselves, but martial artists couldn't. If a martial artist's body was injured and they didn't adjust their breathing to temporarily return the injured part to its original position with their inner strength, but instead continued to fight, it was very likely that the injury would worsen or even be unable to recover, resulting in a lifelong disability. But it didn't matter to Xiao Chen. One was a body refiner, the other was a qi refiner. As long as the vitality in Xiao Chen's body was still there, no matter how serious his injury was, he could recover. This time, it was Xiao Chen's turn to attack first. This made Niu Zijian's eyes flash with a trace of surprise. He couldn't understand why the white fox didn't adjust his breathing for a moment after suffering a heavy blow from him and launched an attack. Could it be that the white fox really wasn't injured before? Not only was his hand kung fu good, but his leg kung fu was also good? However, what shocked Niu Zijian was yet to come. Xiao Chen actually used the same ultimate move as before, right fist and left leg. Could it be that his left leg really wasn't injured at all? Otherwise, why would he use his left leg to attack? For the first time, Niu Zijian doubted if his ultimate move was effective. However, Niu Zijian was a veteran boxer after all. At this moment, he didn't panic. He quickly retreated while adjusting his breathing. Fortunately, his leg was fine. It didn't affect his retreat when he was adjusting his breathing. However, he couldn't be too fast. It would affect the injury on his upper body. Although Niu Zijian was retreating, his eyes were fixed on the white fox's right fist and left leg. He wanted to see clearly if the white fox was like him, playing a feint and then quickly changing his move. Although Niu Zijian felt that the possibility wasn't very high, his ultimate move had been practiced for more than 3 years. However, this white fox was really a bit difficult to deal with. What made Niu Zijian relieved was that Xiao Chen didn't show any signs of changing his move even when he was close to him. Niu Zijian just finished adjusting his breathing. With his upper body, Niu Zijian didn't dare to punch Xiao Chen again. However, his legs were fine. He suddenly tilted his body to the side, wanting to avoid Xiao Chen's right fist. Then, his right leg kicked toward Xiao Chen's left leg. Pa! Hong! 2 loud sounds. That's right, there were indeed 2 sounds. One was when Xiao Chen's fist hit Niu Zijian's body. The other was when his leg kicked Niu Zijian's leg. Left fist and right leg. Ouch! Niu Zijian suddenly screamed. His sternum was dented by Xiao Chen, right in the heart. However, Niu Zijian didn't understand until he died. He clearly saw the white fox's right fist and left leg, but it was the left fist and right leg that hit his body. He didn't see the white fox change his move, not even until he died. He was a martial artist at the peak of the 3rd stage of inner force. He thought he could clearly see if Xiao Chen changed his move at the last moment, but the audience was quite far away, and they were just watching the show. No one cared what Xiao Chen used. Illusion. What Xiao Chen used just now was the special ability of a 3rd stage refinement cultivator. Chapter 106. Xiao Chen couldn't change his moves at the last minute like Niu Zijian. He didn't even have normal combat experience, let alone such a difficult move that required many times of practice. The illusion made Niu Zijian think that Xiao Chen had always been using his right fist and left leg. He didn't change his moves until the end, but Niu Zijian had seen wrongly. Boom! With a dull sound of contact with the floor, Niu Zijian fell to the ring, giving him a taste of his own medicine. The same move, but the outcome was completely different. In fact, if Xiao Chen wanted to win, he didn't need to kill Niu Zijian at all. However, due to the needs of his true identity, Niu Zijian had to die. If he didn't die today, he would turn around and deal with him. At that time, he couldn't expose his true strength, so it would be a little difficult to deal with. Xiao Chen stood in the ring and looked coldly at Niu Zijian's corpse. He circulated his mental cultivation method and used his primordial energy to repair the injury on his leg. The referee was a little dumbfounded at this moment. He was a member of the Lu family gang, so he naturally knew Niu Zijian. The cheers from the audience made the referee a little overwhelmed. Niu Zijian was actually dead. The ace boxer of the boxing arena, the super fighter of the Lu family gang, and a peak 3rd stage inner strength martial artist. How could he die just like that? Referee, can you announce it now? I'll get off the stage to rest and get my prize. Xiao Chen had already circulated his mental cultivation method and used his primordial energy to repair the injuries on his body before he spoke lightly. However, from the outside, Xiao Chen didn't seem to have suffered any injuries. This made the referee secretly shocked. He quickly ran to the ring and announced, "This match, White Fox wins." Wow, wow, wow. There were enthusiastic cheers from the audience. Although Xiao Chen's odds were extremely low, who wouldn't do something like betting to make money? Everyone had bet heavily. Of course, they were overjoyed that Xiao Chen had won. The connoisseur recognized the artistry, while the layman enjoyed the show. Lu Zhenming, who was sitting in his office, was livid. He never expected that the Lu family gang's super fighter would die in the ring. Now, not only did the boxing arena have to lose money, but most importantly, what would happen if Xiao Chen came later? Calm down, Master Ming. Winning and losing are common in the boxing arena. You can only win if you lose. Our arena has been around for a long time and we are still making a profit. You don't have to worry. Luozi was angry. Why did White Fox appear at this time? If he made Lu Zhenming unhappy, what if he went back and told Lu Siwen to replace him as the person in charge of the boxing field? Then his good days would come to an end. After all, being a small boss here was a good life. If he returned to the gang and became a normal soldier, Luozi would be in deep trouble. Both of them were amateurs, so they couldn't tell how the White Fox had won. I understand everything you say. But, what if my classmate comes later? Lu Zhenming frowned. We can't fight to the death without a top-level match. What if we arrange a match for him and he admits defeat? According to the rules, he can't fight anymore. This. Luozi was helpless. Your classmate hasn't come yet, right? Maybe he's afraid that he won't come. What if he comes? That kid went to the morning market to sell youtiao. Maybe he'll go there at night too. It'll be a waste of time. Lu Zhenming didn't dare to take the risk. Then, even if he comes, why don't you tell him first and let him familiarize himself with the environment? Then, bring him to watch other matches. When he's ready, he'll fight in a few days, Luozi said after some thought. I'll try. Lu Zhenming nodded with a frown and said, but if he comes, don't arrange other matches. At that time, only arrange a first-level match. Don't let him see any boxing masters that are too powerful. If he doesn't dare to fight after seeing them, then it would be a waste of effort. I understand. Luozi quickly nodded. Master Ming, don't worry. I've already sent someone to patrol the entrance. They'll inform me as soon as they see the person in the photo you sent me. Okay, that's good. Lu Zhenming said, that White Fox, hurry up and make him scram. Tell him that the strongest opponent has already been killed by him. He is not allowed to challenge opponents weaker than Niu Zhijian. Master Ming doesn't need to remind me. That's the truth. Luozi said, that's the rule. Our people will inform him. Sure enough, when Xiao Chen entered the lounge to rest, the man in the white shirt quickly walked over and said, Mr. White Fox, you've already won the final victory. Currently, you're the strongest boxer here. If there are no other opponents who want to challenge the top matches, you can't go on stage for the time being. I understand. Give me the bill. Xiao Chen nodded to show that he understood. Just now, he used his spiritual sense to sense Luozi's office. He clearly heard the conversation between Lu Zhenming and Luozi. Okay, Mr. White Fox. After the man in the white shirt heard Xiao Chen's reply, he suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Since White Fox wasn't fighting anymore, his worries were gone. Your current bonus is 795,200 yuan. Because you're the ever-victorious general, we've decided to round it up to 800,000 yuan. Thank you very much. Xiao Chen nodded. Yes, although it was only 5,000 yuan more, 5,000 yuan was still money. Now that Xiao Chen was short of money, it was good to have as much as possible. However, Xiao Chen was a little grateful to Yu Xiaochuan. Thanks to the girl fund that he gave him, however, Xiao Chen had some doubts now. Did Yu Xiaochuan really give the money? Why didn't he give it directly to me, but to Tang Tang? It didn't make sense to say that it was to save my face. He had already seen Xiao Chen's shamelessness. Every time he invited me to dinner, he never cared about my face. Was he afraid that Qi Zhigao would see it? Xiao Chen also couldn't figure it out. At the beginning, his attention was on solving the trouble, so he didn't perceive other things. But then again, who would expect this money in advance? With 800,000 yuan in his hand, Xiao Chen quickly left the underground black boxing field. It wasn't a place to stay for a long time. He would come again with his real identity later. If he had more contact with the man in the white shirt, he would be familiar with him. It would be troublesome if he recognized him. For a master like White Fox, the boxing field would naturally not send people to follow him. It was good to send away this kind of plague. Who would have the mood to provoke him? However, although he felt that no one followed him, Xiao Chen still did not directly take his school bag. Instead, he walked around a few times, and then released his divine sense spiritual power to sense for a while. After confirming that no one was following him, he quickly walked to the place where he hid his school bag. He put away the mask and the chef's suit and restored his appearance when he went to school. He picked up his school bag and dialed Lu Zhenming's phone number. Xiao Chen. Lu Zhenming picked up the phone. He didn't expect Xiao Chen to really call him. Before, he was looking forward to Xiao Chen's call, but now, he didn't look forward to it. Young Master Lu, your underground black boxing field is really hard to find. I found an abandoned factory. It seems to be here. Can you come out and pick me up? Xiao Chen said while panting. This. Xiao Chen, it's already this time. There are no boxers in the boxing field. Why don't you come back another day? Lu Zhenming asked tentatively. Another day? No way, right? Why are there no boxers? Are you kidding me? If that's the case, then I'm leaving. I won't come back to play with you anymore. Xiao Chen said very disappointedly. Ugh, how is that possible? Lu Zhenming hesitated for a moment. Suddenly, he had a plan. He said, now, there are boxers in this boxing field, but they are all very powerful. I'm afraid that you can't win. It won't be good if you get beaten up again. After all, we are all classmates. I can't harm you, right? Now, Lu Zhenming deliberately said this to show Xiao Chen that if Xiao Chen insisted on fighting, then he deserved to die. It couldn't be blamed on him. And at this moment, he also secretly turned on the phone recording. His purpose was to leave evidence. In his opinion, a stage 2 inner energy boxing master was enough to kill Xiao Chen. The reason why he didn't want Xiao Chen to fight was actually because of the audience. After all, there were also people among the audience who knew the ropes. In theory, a level 2 competition couldn't fight to the death. If Xiao Chen was beaten to death, they would be suspicious. However, it wasn't impossible. As long as he prevaricated, he could say that he didn't control his strength well. If he was beaten to death, then he was beaten to death. On the surface, it was fine to deduct the winner's prize money. In fact, behind the scenes, he would give the level 2 boxer a little more money. He probably couldn't spread the news. Oh, it's fine. I've already prepared everything. I went to the bank to withdraw some money just now. I heard that I can place a bet. If you want me to go back, wouldn't I have come here for nothing? You still went to withdraw money? After Lu Zhenming heard it, he figured out why Xiao Chen came so late. It turned out that he went to the bank first. Thinking of this, Lu Zhenming said, "That's fine. You wait for me. I'll pick you up now." "Okay." Xiao Chen hung up the phone quickly. Not long after, Xiao Chen saw Lu Zhenming's figure appear. He waved to Xiao Chen. "Xiao Chen, here. I specifically asked someone to inquire about it. The audience here can also bet." "Can I also bet?" asked Xiao Chen. Lu Zhenming heaved a sigh of relief. From Xiao Chen's words, it seemed like he wasn't very clear about the rules of the underground fighting arena. Then, he had a chance to take advantage of it. Thus, he nodded and said, "That's right. You can also place a bet for yourself. If you have confidence in yourself, then if you win, you can also get some money." Although Lu Zhenming said so, in fact, he was laughing in his heart. It's fine if Xiao Chen came to die, but he also came to give money. He is really a good person. Chapter 107. While they were talking, they walked into the underground boxing field. Although it was the second time for Xiao Chen to come, he was still like Granny Lu when she first entered the Grand View Garden. He looked left, right, east, and west. He was curious about everything. "Xiao Chen, do you think we should prepare for the competition?" asked Lu Zhenming. Tell me about the rules first." Xiao Chen didn't show too much enthusiasm. It would be easy for others to see the problem. "In fact, there are no rules." Lu Zhenming said, "After you go up, you just have to try your best to defeat or kill the opponent. The winner will get 100,000 yuan. As for the money to bet, it depends on the odds. You are a newcomer. The general odds are between 1-3 to 1-5. Oh, then I bet all my family's assets on it." "You have to give me a higher odds," said Xiao Chen. "A higher odds? No problem. I will help you. 1-5. Lu Zhenming patted his chest and said, "The person in charge here can still give me this face." "Oh, 1-5. That's fine. I have 200,000 yuan here. You can help me bet." Xiao Chen didn't dare to say too much. Lu Zhenming already knew his identity as the young master of the Xiao family. He probably also knew that when he left the Xiao family, he left with nothing. It was already very good to get 200,000 yuan. If it was too much, there would be a problem. What's more, if Xiao Chen took out 800,000 yuan directly, then Lu Zhenming wouldn't think of anything at that time. If Xiao Chen won later, would he think of the previous white fox? Xiao Chen didn't want to take such a big risk for this little money. Although Xiao Chen was now short of money, in any case, saving his life was the first priority. 200,000? That's a lot. Lu Zhenming was stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Chen to have so much money. "Oh, I had some before. Tang Tang gave me some, and Yu Xiaochuan gave me some to pick up girls," Xiao Chen said. "All right, I'll help you place the bet. Get ready, you'll be on stage in a while." Lu Zhenming nodded, but he was wondering why Yu Xiaochuan gave Xiao Chen so much money. But it didn't matter anymore. Xiao Chen was going to be a dead man soon. Lu Zhenming walked out of the preparation room and went to make arrangements for the fighters. The $200,000 was handed over to a staff member for him to bet. Xiao Chen smiled coldly and closed his eyes to rest. After a while, Lu Zhenming came back. It was obvious that everything had been arranged. Xiao Chen didn't waste his spiritual awareness to explore this time, because there was no need. The most powerful fighter in the boxing field had been killed by White Fox. If there were more powerful fighters, it was impossible not to send them to deal with White Fox. "Xiao Chen, it's all arranged. Here is the information of your opponent," Lu Zhenming said and handed a document to Xiao Chen and said, "Look carefully. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win every battle." "Thank you, young Master Lu." Xiao Chen took the information gratefully and looked at it. However, this information was obviously modified. If Xiao Chen hadn't seen other people's information before, he wouldn't have found it. In this information, there was no information about the opponent's strength level. It only described what this person did, how many boxing matches he fought, and how many times he won. For these things, Xiao Chen didn't need to look at them at all. What this person used to do had nothing to do with Xiao Chen, but he still pretended to study it very carefully for a long time. Lu Zhenming found it very funny. After a while, a white shirt came in and gave Xiao Chen a registration card. Then he said, "Excuse me, would you like to use your real name or a code name?" "Code name. Call me Universe Super Invincible Chen." Xiao Chen didn't know why he thought of the miss and the dog. "Oh, okay." The white shirt was stunned and then nodded. Xiao Chen's registration card was number 109. It seemed that this registration card was not issued in order. It seemed to be random. Not long after, a voice calling for Xiao Chen to go on stage came from the loudspeaker. "Next, I invite the newcomer of the boxing arena, Universe Super Invincible Chen, to get ready." At the same time, Xiao Chen's head appeared on the big screen outside. The person fighting him was the boxer that Lu Zhenming had just brought over. Her name was Zhu Jiuhua. At this time, Xiao Chen went to prepare, and the audience in the audience seat began a new round of bets. Because Xiao Chen was a newcomer, the odds were very high. It was still 1-5. As for Zhu Jiuhua, although he was an old man, he was just a second-rate boxer. His odds were 1-2, so in comparison, there were more people who bet on Xiao Chen. This was also what Luozi and Lu Zhenming wanted to see. In their eyes, Xiao Chen would lose without a doubt. He could still earn some money for them before he died. It was an excellent use of trash. 20 minutes later, Xiao Chen and Zhu Jiuhua went on stage at the same time. Neither of them wore a mask. Xiao Chen guessed that this person's name, Zhu Jiuhua, was not his real name. How could there be a man named Zhu Jiuhua? Universe Super Invincible Chen vs. Zhu Jiuhua. Xiao Chen and Zhu Jiuhua stood on the stage. Xiao Chen did not appear to be very calm. He looked nervous and looked around. Zhu Jiuhua looked at Xiao Chen with disdain. Luozi had talked to him alone when they were below the stage. He told him to be a little more ruthless in this match and kill Xiao Chen. Even if he didn't die, he would turn him into a vegetable. On the surface, Zhu Jiuhua would definitely be declared to have broken the rules and the prize money would be revoked. But secretly, Zhu Jiuhua would definitely be compensated with a sum of money. It would not be 30,000 for a second-level match, but 10. Zhu Jiuhua held his fists together, and Xiao Chen did the same. Both of them stood still and waited for the referee to announce the start of the match. 3, 2, 1, start. A roar sounded, and the match began. Actually, Xiao Chen already had a rough understanding of Zhu Jiuhua's strength. Based on the number of matches he had participated in, he could tell that Zhu Jiuhua was a Stage 2 or Stage 3 inner force warrior. "Brat, it's not an injustice for you to die in my hands," Zhu Jiuhua said indifferently and launched his first round of fierce attacks. Now, Xiao Chen could see his true strength. He was only a Stage 2 inner force warrior. Once upon a time, Xiao Chen had been yearning to reach Stage 1 inner force. But now, a Stage 2 inner force warrior was like an ant in Xiao Chen's eyes. However, it was impossible for Xiao Chen to kill Zhu Jiuhua right away. That would expose his strength too obviously. You're a Stage 2 inner force warrior?" Xiao Chen's eyes widened in shock. He broke into a run. Although his movements were nimble and his speed was extremely fast, the force that he unleashed was only close to the first stage of inner force. It might not even be at the first stage of inner force. Xiao Chen's speed of escape surprised Zhu Jiuhua. He did not expect Xiao Chen's reaction to be so agile. He actually started running. Zhu Juhua was determined to win. Zhu Juhua's fierce boar fist hit nothing. The reason why Zhu Juhua was called Zhu Juhua was because the martial art he practiced was called fierce boar fist. This was also his famous move. In this ring, although it could not be said to be invincible, when he used his full strength, it was difficult for his opponent to escape the fate of being injured. Because his speed was very fast, even if he could dodge it, he would be swept by the wind of the fist and suffer some minor injuries. However, he did not expect that a newbie boxer who had not even reached stage 1 inner force could actually dodge it. What kind of luck was that? However, most of the audience present did not know anything about martial artists, inner force, martial arts, and the like. They were purely here to watch the show. When they saw that Xiaofan dodged the punch easily, they thought that he was very strong. The people who bet on Xiaofan immediately cheered. Lu Zhenming was in the surveillance room. He frowned slightly. He had heard about Xiaofan before. He was a good-for-nothing. He did not expect that although this good-for-nothing strength was not very good, his reaction was not weak. Humph, you can dodge once, but you can't dodge forever. Zhu Juhua snorted coldly. He turned around and urged the fierce boar fist towards Xiaofan again. However, at the moment when it was about to hit Xiaofan dodged it again. This luck was really good. However, what happened next was a little strange. Zhu Juhua attacked from behind while Xiaofan ran in front. Although it seemed to be very dangerous every time, Xiaofan could always escape in the end. The audience thought that Xiaofan was very strong at first, but now it seemed that they were a little disappointed. It turned out that he was just a coward who only knew how to dodge. In fact, ordinary people really couldn't dodge Zhu Juhua's fierce attack. Xiaofan seemed to be in a difficult situation. In fact, even a stage 2 inner force martial artist would not be able to escape unscathed. To kill Zhu Juhua, it was easy for Xiaofan. As long as he took the opportunity to dodge and wave his hand, he could end Zhu Juhua. However, Xiaofan couldn't do that. He kept running and dodging, looking for an opportunity. Motherf *Ker, this kid is quite agile. Lu Zhenming looked at Xiaofan dodging again and again. He was a little depressed. He doesn't have any other skills, but he's good at escaping. Master Zhenming, this kid might have trained before. Although his strength isn't that great, his dodging skills are not bad, Luozi said. Of course, he used to be the Xiao family's Xiaochen. It's impossible that he didn't train before. He was born useless and couldn't cultivate his inner force no matter how hard he trained. I think his family was afraid that he would be bullied in the future, so he trained to escape. Lu Zhenming analyzed. That's possible, but dodging is not a solution. Judging from his performance, he's a martial artist who hasn't even reached stage 1 inner force. He only has some explosive power and speed. When his stamina is exhausted, it'll be his time to die. Luozi nodded. With this analysis, the two of them were not as anxious as before. They quietly waited for Xiaochen's stamina to be exhausted. Chapter 108. Those who saw Xiaochen's high odds and were greedy enough to bet on Xiaochen were now regretting. This person had been on the stage for 10 minutes, and he hadn't made a single move. He was just dodging. After fighting for a while, Zhu Juhua complained incessantly. Don't look at how he seemed to have the upper hand, chasing after Xiaochen and fiercely beating him up. However, that was only in the eyes of outsiders. In reality, every time he used a martial technique, he would consume some of his physical strength. After using his inner strength, there was no time to recover, so his physical strength consumption was no less than Xiaochen's. Moreover, he was also anxious. He came with a mission, but it seemed that Xiaochen was running around in circles. In fact, Xiaochen had been looking for an opportunity, but he didn't know where to start. Seeing that Zhu Jiuhua's inner strength and speed were getting weaker, he knew that Zhu Jiuhua was also tired. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen's mouth flashed a smile, and then he said to Elder Heaven Ancestor, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, let him think that he hit me. This kind of errand again. Is this kind of small shrimp worth my time?" Although Elder Heaven Ancestor complained, he still prepared to do as he was told. The reason why Xiao Chen didn't use illusion was that he was different from the previous white fox. If he used illusion, Xiao Chen would make a feint, and it wouldn't match his previous image. Ha! This time, let's see if you die or not. Zhu Jiuhua was really affected by Elder Heaven Ancestor. He thought that he hit Xiao Chen, so he smashed in the direction where Xiao Chen was standing. And at this moment, Xiao Chen had already turned behind Zhu Jiuhua. He suddenly extended his leg and kicked fiercely at the space between his legs. "Zhu Jiuhua, I'll give you an anus." Bang! With a muffled sound, Xiao Chen's kick not only landed on Zhu Jiuhua's buttocks, but it also landed on Zhu Jiuhua's balls. These two were the weaker parts of the human body. Even if Zhu Jiuhua was a stage 2 inner force martial artist, she still cried out in pain and knelt on the ground. His hands covered his lower body, and he rolled on the ground. Xiao Chen took this opportunity to kick Zhu Jiuhua's head. 1 kick, 2 kicks, 3 kicks, and each kick was aimed at the temple. Zhu Jiuhua was already in pain, so how could he care about defense? As a result, he was dizzy from the kicks from Xiao Chen. He fainted after a few kicks, and he didn't know if he would wake up again. "I won, I won." Xiao Chen saw that Zhu Jiuhua was not moving. He was stunned at first, but then he shouted excitedly. At this time, the judge also came up to the stage. Although Luozi had told him not to stop Zhu Jiuhua from killing Xiao Chen had now won. He could only announce Xiao Chen's victory. This match, the universe's super invincible Chen wins. The judge announced loudly. Xiao Chen was panting heavily, and he quickly got off the stage. He did not enjoy the joy of winning. Instead, he was scared. He said as he walked, "Scared me, scared me. Lu Zhenming, you bastard, are you trying to kill me?" Lu Zhenming was in Luozi's office, and he saw everything clearly. When he saw Xiao Chen win the match in such a way, he was speechless with anger. Wasn't this the same trick he used to beat up Ma Gangmen? It was a kick to the anus. It was extremely vicious. However, he could not say anything. There were no rules in this boxing match. No matter what Xiao Chen did, it was fine as long as he won. Therefore, while he sighed at Xiao Chen's good luck, he was also annoyed. If Niu Zhijian did not die, he would not be so weak. Zhu Jiuhua's strength was too low, and her reflexes were not strong enough. Instead, she was defeated by a trash like Xiao Chen, who did not even have level 1 inner force. Was Xiao Chen really a trash? Perhaps they had overlooked one point. Not to mention someone who did not have level 1 inner force, even someone with level 1 inner force would not be able to win against Zhu Jiuhua. Originally, Lu Zhenming was in a bad mood. His face was pale, but he had to welcome Xiao Chen. At this time, when he heard Xiao Chen say that he tricked him, it made him even more depressed. "Xiao Chen, congratulations. You see, I told you that money is easy to earn." On the surface, Lu Zhenming pretended to be happy and congratulate him. "I say, young Master Lu, are you trying to trick me? This person is a martial artist with level 2 inner force. Aren't you trying to trick me by asking me to fight with him?" Fortunately, I ran fast and practiced a unique skill, which is the flying kick to the anus. Otherwise, I would be lying on the ring today. Xiao Chen said to Lu Zhenming angrily. "Ugh. Xiao Chen, you can't blame me for this. Didn't I say it before? The remaining boxers today are very powerful. I asked you to come another day. I was afraid that I would scam you, but you insisted on participating. I couldn't do anything about it. Lu Zhenming shrugged helplessly. How can you blame me for this? That's true. I insisted on it. I thought it was easy. I didn't expect it to be so difficult. Xiaochen nodded in agreement. Right, young Master Lu, where's my money? This. I will ask someone. When Lu Zhenming thought of Xiaochen's odds, the corner of his mouth twitched twice. He was counting on using Xiaochen to earn some money, but the odds were 1 to 5. He lost a lot. In comparison, Xiaochen's little bit of money was really nothing. Thank you, young Master Lu. You really want to be friends with me now. You know that I'm short of money, so you sent me money. You, young Master Yu, and young Master Kun are all my partners and good friends. Xiaochen said gratefully. Ha, of course. Lu Zhenming's smile was uglier than crying. However, his heart moved and he suddenly asked, right, Xiaochen, do you want to pursue the victory and fight again? In Lu Zhenming's opinion, Xiaochen was completely relying on good luck this time. After that, Zhu Jiuhua was confused by Xiaochen. She might have been a little impatient, so Xiaochen found the opportunity. However, if there was another second stage inner force martial artist, Xiaochen wouldn't be as lucky as before. It can't be. You are right. The strength of these martial artists today is very high. I'm not their opponent. I was lucky to win just now. I should stop while I'm ahead. Let's talk about it later. Xiaochen said. This, okay. Xiaochen didn't want to fight anymore. He couldn't force Xiaochen to fight, right? Moreover, the words that said that the martial artists were powerful were also said by him. And then I'll take the bonus and leave first. See you tomorrow. Xiaochen said happily, I didn't expect that I have 1 million. This money is really easy to earn. Oh, no, it's 1,300,000. There's also the principal and bonus. I'm rich. I'm really rich. Since I came out of my family, this is the first time I've earned so much money. Then if you're short of money, come again. Lu Zhenming smiled reluctantly and tempted him. Okay, but this opponent is too strong. Are there any weaker players? I heard that there are martial artists and martial artists who are at the first level of inner energy participating. Then, should be able to beat them, right? Xiaochen suddenly asked. Ugh, first level. That doesn't seem to be possible. According to the rules of the boxing field, people who have defeated a second-level inner energy martial artist are not allowed to challenge opponents of a lower level. Lu Zhenming quickly explained. If that's the case, then forget it. Well, forget it. It seems that I should really practice hard when I go back. I found that although I can't practice internal energy, I still have strength, especially this anus kick. I'm going to turn it into my unique skill. Speaking of this, I have to thank you, young Master Lu. Ma Gangmen is your younger brother, and you introduced me to this boxing field. When I finish practicing, we can practice together. I heard that your strength is also good, and you are also a warrior who is close to the first level of internal energy. Is it true that you are also a warrior who is close to the first level of internal energy? Our strength is about the same, so we can learn from each other. Puff. Lu Zhenming staggered after listening to Xiaochen's words. He quickly waved his hand. Xiaochen is joking. I'm not as good as you. Forget about learning from each other. If there's a chance, you should come and fight. In the past, Lu Zhenming looked down on Xiaochen and thought that he was a bumpkin. Later, when he knew Xiaochen's identity, he also thought that Xiaochen was a loser. But now it seemed that he couldn't beat this loser. After all, he was from a big family. He had more heritage than the underworld family like the Lu family. Even a loser could be so bad *SS. If he fought with Xiaochen, he would be kicked into anal fistula. He didn't know when it started, but when Lu Zhenming and Xiao Chen were alone, he felt a little afraid. "Oh, then forget it. We are good friends now. I can't beat you up. It's not fun to learn from each other. When I succeed in my cultivation, Ma Gangmen should be discharged from the hospital, right? Why don't I let him practice with me?" Xiao Chen nodded and said. Lu Zhenming was a little regretful. Why did he provoke Xiao Chen for no reason? This kid was really a warmonger. He was a loser, but he was still so restless. If he was a genius, then others wouldn't be able to stop. But now the hatred had been formed. It was impossible for Lu Zhenming to let it go so easily. He could only take one step at a time and think of other ways to deal with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen left with 1.9 million. Lu Zhenming went back and calculated with Air Luozi. The underground boxing arena lost a lot in one night. White Fox, Xiao Chen, I hate you. Lu Zhenming clenched his fists and roared at the sky. However, he couldn't afford to provoke the White Fox. That kind of person was obviously a fugitive. Even Niu Zhijian was killed. Lu Zhenming naturally wouldn't dare to provoke the White Fox unless he asked the old ancestor of his family to come forward. However, with his ability, it was impossible for him to ask the old ancestor to come forward for such a small matter. It was getting late. Xiao Chen had to go back as soon as possible. Otherwise, Miss would be worried. On the way back, Xiao Chen passed by a small supermarket. He bought some vegetables, meat, eggs, and a cookbook. Since he had the 6 senses of a cultivator, it would be a waste not to use it. Chapter 109. Xiao Chen was talented in deep-fried dough sticks and deep-fried cakes. So, he should be equally talented in cooking other delicacies. This was the logic of mastery. Xiao Chen, you're really something. Do you want to be a chef while you're cultivating? Elder Heaven Ancestor sounded disappointed. Those who don't eat will die. What's the point of cultivating? Xiao Chen shrugged helplessly. Elder Heaven Ancestor, I'm living under someone else's roof now. If I don't please the lady, we'll both be doomed if I'm kicked out. I think you're trying to woo the goddess with your cooking skills. Elder Heaven Ancestor mocked disdainfully. You're overthinking. Xiao Chen rolled his eyes. I'm sick of eating instant noodles myself. When Xiao Chen returned to the villa, Cheng Menjing and Jin Beibei were already there. Seeing the ingredients in Xiao Chen's hands, Jin Beibei was shocked. Cousin-in-law, you bought so many raw vegetables and meat. Who knows how to cook? Cheng Menjing was also a little surprised. In her opinion, even if Xiao Chen knew how to deep-fry dough sticks and cook some simple breakfast, it was far from cooking. She did not believe that Xiao Chen could cook when he was in the Xiao family. I can't always eat instant noodles, can I? Xiao Chen said. Oh. You know how to cook? Cheng Menjing was a little surprised. To be honest, she had not been eating well in the villa recently. She felt that eating instant noodles was refreshing because she had never eaten them before. However, after eating too much of it, it did not taste so good anymore. Occasionally, there would be some leftovers, but they were already delicious. Cheng Menjing understood that her father did not ask the family to send a chef for her because he did not want to expose her relationship with Xiao Chen. The Cheng family probably wants to see me torture Xiao Chen, right? I can learn. I'm a transformer. Xiao Chen smiled and said, didn't I learn how to make fried dough sticks? That's right. My cousin-in-law is a transformer. Then, quickly become a 5-star chef. Tonight is Beibei's last night here. I will go back tomorrow. Grandpa misses Beibei. Jin Beibei said reluctantly, Beibei wants to have a big meal tonight. I'll do it then. Xiao Chen nodded. He had gotten used to Jin Beibei being in the villa these days, but he didn't expect Jin Beibei to leave so soon. Humph, I'm hungry too. The instant noodles were soaked by me, so they're not tasty. You didn't come back to help me, so I wanted to wait for you to come back and punish you. Seeing that you've worked so hard to be my servant, I'll forgive you this time. You won't be so lucky the next time you come back so late. Cheng Menjing put her hands on her waist and said to Xiao Chen, hurry up. Be diligent and make the meal. I want to check and accept it in person. Hee, okay. Xiao Chen entered the kitchen with the ingredients and started to read the menu. According to the ingredients he bought today, Xiao Chen chose 4 dishes: alfalfa tomato, sweet and sour crucian carp, charred pork strips, sesame oil lettuce, and a sour and spicy soup. 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetables dishes were all common home-cooked dishes. Xiao Chen didn't want to cook those fancy but impractical hotel dishes. His mistress was probably sick of those dishes. Although it was his first time cooking, Xiao Chen was very skilled. The steps of the dishes seemed to have been imprinted in his mind. With the experience of frying youtiao, Xiao Chen only needed to follow the steps and accurately control the ingredients and the timing of the ingredients to make a good meal. Forget it. Since you like your goddess so much, I'll give you some advice. Back in the day, I was also a master at picking up girls. As Xiao Chen was cooking, he suddenly heard the voice of the elder heaven ancestor. Pfft. Ahem, elder heaven ancestor, don't scare me, okay? I'm concentrating on cooking, and you scared me. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Fortunately, he had good psychological quality. Otherwise, he would have done something wrong. When you're cooking, you can inject a trace of primordial qi into the dish. Just a trace is enough. The elder heaven ancestor said, the dish made in this way will be much more delicious than normal dishes. Even if it has no taste, it will be as addictive as smoking cigarettes. Inject primordial qi? Smoking cigarettes? Will there be any problem? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. It's just a metaphor. You naughty disciple, why are you so stupid? How can primordial qi compare with smoking cigarettes? It's formed by the essence of heaven and earth. Therefore, a trace of primordial qi is enough to make it delicious in the mortal world. The elder heaven ancestor said, why do people say the celestial peaches are delicious? In fact, it's because the ordinary peaches are contaminated with celestial aura, which is the spiritual aura of heaven and earth. I see. Xiao Chen nodded and injected a trace of primordial qi into the alfalfa tomatoes in the pot. Of course, he did not dare to inject too much primordial qi into them. He was afraid that the mistress and Jean Bebe would have problems eating them. Of course. If you don't believe me, you can try it later. The elder heaven ancestor said proudly, it was invented by a buddy of mine years ago. He has more than 10 wives. So, is he good at picking up girls or you? Xiao Chen was speechless. Let's not talk about this. After the elder heaven ancestor said that, he remained silent as if he did not exist. After Xiao Chen finished preparing the alfalfa tomatoes, he made the sweet and sour crucian carp, the charred pork strips, and the sesame oil lettuce. He even injected a trace of primordial qi into the hot and sour soup. To Xiao Chen's surprise, the speed at which the dishes cooled down was obviously slower. In other words, when Xiao Chen finished the last dish, the first alfalfa tomatoes were still steaming hot. There was no telling whether it was his illusion or not, but Xiao Chen put the dishes on the dining table while he was amazed. Then, he invited Cheng Menjing and Jean Bebe to join him for dinner. The first meal was the instant noodles that Cheng Menjing made for Jean Bebe. However, the two of them went to watch TV after they finished the noodles. After watching the latest episode of Campus Belle's Bodyguard, the instant noodles became soft and tasted horrible. The two of them ate the noodles together and threw them away before they could finish the entire box. Also, it was the last box at home. Since the two of them were unwilling to go out to buy more noodles, they waited for Xiaochen to come back and see if he had brought delicious food. As they expected, he did. Wow, it smells so good. Cousin-in-law, if I had known that you were really a transformer, we wouldn't have gone to the Azure Sea Palace. We could have just eaten at home. Before Jean Bebe walked to the dining table, she was already drooling because of the fragrance. It's not that delicious. Cheng Menjing secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, but on the surface, she looked like she did not care. She glanced at Xiaochen and said, "It's your honor that I'm going to test it myself." Huh. Of course. It's my honor that you can eat the food I cooked. Xiaochen smiled. He had begun to get to know his mistress. Since she liked the taste, he would just play along with her. Cheng Menjing cleaned the corner of her clothes that had been crumpled on the couch and walked close slowly, hoping to see what Xiaochen had done. But the moment she raised her head, she discovered that Jean Bebe was already wolfing down the food with a handful of burnt strips of meat in her mouth. "Hey, Bebe, what are you doing? What am I supposed to eat if you are eating so fast?" Seeing that the burnt strips of meat were almost gone, Cheng Menjing immediately bristled. Sob. It's so delicious. Ah. Cousin Menjing, my husband is all yours. You can eat it every day, but Bebe is leaving tomorrow. You won't be able to eat it. Jean Bebe swallowed the delicious food in her mouth and said. Who wants to eat it every day? I don't care about it. Cheng Menjing snorted, but she was a little complacent. That's great. Bebe will eat it all. Jean Bebe clapped her hands happily. After saying that, she continued to grab the burnt strips of meat and stuff them into her mouth. Hey, I said I don't care about it, but I'm hungry. I have to force myself to eat something. Cheng Menjing was immediately infuriated. Slow down. Wait for me to wash my hands and come back. Cheng Menjing ran to the washroom quickly. However, no matter how fast she was not as fast as Jean Bebe's mouth. The burnt strips of meat were almost gone. Is it so delicious? Seeing that the bottom of the plate was exposed, Xiaochen picked up the last strip of meat on the plate and planned to taste it himself. He had been busy cooking just now and had not tasted it. There's no more? Cheng Menjing came back after washing her hands. She found that the plate was empty, but Jean Bebe's mouth was full of grease. You. Spit it out for me. Well. Gulp. Jean Bebe swallowed the food in her mouth and looked at Cheng Menjing meekly. I can't spit it out. Can I spit it out? Go to hell. Cheng Menjing glared at Jean Bebe in fury. She turned around and saw that there was still a burnt strip of meat in Xiaochen's hand. She immediately grew anxious. Xiaochen, give it to me. Okay. Xiaochen picked it up. Before he ate it, he had seen his mistress arguing with Jean Bebe and forgot to eat it. Seeing that Cheng Menjing wanted it from him, Xiaochen raised his hand and raised the burnt strip of meat to his mistress's mouth. After all, she was his ex-fiancée and his current mistress. What was the big deal about giving in to her? Xiaochen did not mind Cheng Menjing's order at all. Smelling the fragrance, Cheng Menjing almost drooled. She opened her mouth and took a bite of the burnt strip of meat in Xiaochen's hand. However, the taste was too delicious. It was crisp and not greasy. Cheng Menjing wanted more after one bite, so she continued eating. She ate the remaining piece of charred meat in Xiaochen's hand, but it seemed like it wasn't enough. She sucked on Xiaochen's finger a few more times, as if sucking on his finger was more delicious. At this moment, Xiaochen was dumbfounded. Xiaochen realized what was going on, too. The feeling of his finger being sucked and licked by Cheng Menjing's small mouth and tongue made Xiaochen feel strangely comfortable. Watching the proud mistress sucking his finger was not only a physical enjoyment but also a psychological satisfaction. Cheng Menjing only cared about the delicious food and did not think too much about it. Seeing that Xiao Chen's hand was still in midair, she was still not satisfied. Hey, is there any more? I haven't tasted anything yet. I want to taste it again. Wow. Cousin Menjiang, you sucked my cousin-in-law's finger just now. You are indeed having an affair. Jean Bebe was dazed, too. You are so skilled. You didn't practice with your mouth, did you? You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.